Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Hit the like button, subscribe, get the bell notification hit as well. Lots to talk about today. A massive boost for Arsenal and anybody, I suppose, pursuing that of Rodrygo. An update on that, plus Eze we're talking about today. We're looking at the Sesko transfer battle. It's heating up, according to Fabrizio Romano, between Manchester United and Newcastle United. Kojo and Xavi on their way to Chelsea. Those deals are close. We're going to be getting Kojo's and the panel's view on that. Plus, we've got to touch on that weird little horrible deal that could happen with Isak joining Liverpool. Plus, the boys are going to be asked a difficult question tonight. Okay, and it's what is going to make them happy and content with their team this season. And we'll unpack that question a little bit, because I'm sick and tired of hearing people lie. I'm not going to lie. Oh, I'm an Arsenal fan and I'd be happy if we just won the Carabao Cup this year. It's a trophy. I think every Arsenal fan who says that will move the goalposts. So I want to ask a more in-depth question about what will make you happy this season. And we'll get to that later in the show. Panel for you tonight. We've got Nobbins back by popular demand. Everybody knows man like Nobbins. Of course, Tom Little is here with us. KJ is on the panel tonight as well. We've got Kojo back with us. A lot of you have seen him on Chelsea match reactions as of late. He's also been... You've done the top 6 before, right? You did?
No,
yes.
First one, isn't it?
Oh, first time on the top 6?
Yeah,
I thought you did do the top 6 before.
I'm blessed, you know. I'm honoured.
Kojo is here for his first top 6 show. Plus, we're joined by Joe, who is an Arsenal fan, making his debut on the Football Terrace as well today. So welcome, gentlemen, to the show. But viewers, listen, sit yourselves down, get a cup of tea. That's what I've got somewhere in here. Nice cup of tea. Get the popcorn out. Loads to talk about. Loads to go through on the show today. But I wanted to start with, I want to read the tweet out. Actually, no, I'm not starting with that. I'm going to start with something else, because I was twice in 24 hours, I have been scammed, guys. I've been genuinely scammed. Even NordVPN couldn't protect me. Massively scammed. The first, I have an uncle. A family ran yesterday to watch the England game. And I have an uncle who is a teacher. And I trust him. And I said something on a video the other day, and he called me out. He said, Terry, I didn't want to embarrass you by leaving a comment. He says, I thought I'd tell you privately. I said, oh, what's that? He said, took me aside, didn't want to tell me in front of no one. He says, you said the word hyperbole on your show. I said, yeah. He went, it's not pronounced that way. It's pronounced hyperbole. Right. No, believe it. I got done. I was like, all right, Unc, sweet. So I did a show yesterday and said the way he told me, and I've been ripped ever since. And I'm like, you done me, you fucker. So that was number one. The second thing, and I actually think this is worse because the evidence was out there. But this morning on Straight Facts, and this is very, very serious, Jords, Tottenham fan Jords, Do-Rag Diaries, told me basically that he wasn't that upset about not getting Gibbs White because he's not that great a player. And he said that he wasn't even that excited when the Here We Go dropped and that he didn't really want the player. But since he said that, I've been sent this.
What? Bomber! Spurs have had another bomber! Yo, it's a bombastico, as Mr. Pete says over there. Yo, I can't even lie. I don't know what it's like to feel like this. 2 Here We Goes in 2 days. Bro, I'm feeling different right now. The money's long. Hey, someone give me the money sleeve. Spurs are just letting it rain. You know, one of them ones. We're making it rain right now. There's an absolute bombers in the building. MGW has been confirmed to Tottenham. Release clause has been triggered. The release clause has been triggered. £60 million. Let me just share the report. This is madness.
Yeah.
He looked gutted. He didn't look excited at all.
Composed.
So,
Jords!
yeah.
Where was this? Terry, this one we need to scour the internet for these things. We should have played that with him here. Now he's going to go to hiding. Think of an excuse for a week. And then next Monday, we'll be like, actually, I was more excited about the Bumba than it was Gibbs White. That's all it was. Da. We know, we see you. We know the real you. We know what you are. We know what you are, mate.
And to my uncle Gareth, I'm not coming to your funeral, mate. All right, that's how I'm getting you back. That's what's going to go on. That's that. I won't be there. I won't be there. I will be. I'll be like that by the graveside. Like, yeah, no, he done me bad. And honestly, I trusted that man so much that I didn't even question it. I just went, I really thought it was hyperbole. Everyone says hyperbole. And he's like, no. He said, a lot of people do that. They just say words wrong. He said, tell you, he's an English teacher. He says it's hyperbole. And I just went, all right, Unc, and cracked on with my day. Honestly, I got so badly done. I got done so bad. But yeah, look, viewers, hit the like button. Make sure you are nothing wrong with being educated. Yeah, I know.
I can't lie. I thought the word was hyperbole. So I've been saying it wrong. Just by staying quiet.
Hyperbole is not. Isn't it another word?
I thought hyperbole was the word. Maybe that's another word. I don't know. But
in hyperbole and hyperbole, two different words, or am I just tripping?
You are tripping, indeed. Yes.
Oh.
It's the same word, just the correct pronunciation, the wrong pronunciation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But do you know what you end up getting? Do you know what word used to do me as a kid, right? See, I used to watch Only Fools and Horses as a kid, and I didn't get all the jokes when I was a kid. So, like, Del Boy would say words wrong in every single episode. He'd say, listen, you know what me and you are like, bruv? We're like telescopic. Now, you knew that as a kid, he meant like telepathic. But there's other words that he used to say like, there's a phrase in the UK that when you have a heart attack, you can have a, what's it called? He says Connery, isn't like Sean Connery, but it's actually, it's what you call it, what's the word they use?
I have no clue. It's a Connery.
Something like that. But it's not Connery. But yeah, as a kid, I'd say, oh, yeah, so-and-so had a Connery because I just repeated what I didn't know was a joke. Does that make sense? So we do a lot of that in this country. You hear someone say something wrong, you don't know he said it wrong and you're fucked. But yeah, thanks, Unc, for doing me. But look, let's jump into some of these transfer stories today because they are... Man United goalkeeper signs a new contract. It's a backup keeper. I thought Onana signed a new contract. I was about to end the show.
I was about
to cancel the show. Look, there's a big battle supposedly going to ignite itself between Manchester United and Newcastle, or it's already underway, really, for the signing of Benjamin Sesko. I'm going to throw this out to the panel. Let me go to Joe first on this because Arsenal were linked with him for a long time. So I'm sure you did a lot of research into the player, watched him, read things about him. For even Newcastle or Man United, or maybe you see it different for each club based on how we play. How good or bad a signing do you think this will be?
Yeah, well, I did some research on him. I can't remember. It was a while ago. So he was in the 99th percentile for aerial duels in the team. He got more dribbles than Xavi Simons. He completed more dribbles than Xavi Simons. And I think I compared his stats with that of Gyökeres, and he had better assisting. He had more assists than Gyökeres, and he's a very fast player. And I think overall, whoever gets him, he'll score goals for them. But the reason why Arsenal didn't go for him in particular, the reason why Arsenal didn't go straight in for him was because he wouldn't be that instant impact signing that we're going to need to win the league. And I think as good as Sesko is, we needed more of an impact. So yeah, but the goals that he scores, he's got a very powerful shot on him. Of course, everyone would have seen all the goals he scores. He scored that banger versus Bayern Munich for Leipzig. And he's very good for Slovenia. He didn't have a great performance at the Euros, but overall, I think he'll be a great signing for whoever gets him.
What are you saying? What are you saying, Kojo? Because obviously, when he was linked to Arsenal, there was a lot of people talking about how, giving him nicknames like Benjamin Sesko, bang average player. This is someone that's, he's played 224 games in his career. He has 100 goals. He has 26 assists. He's still only 22 years of age. Is this, in your opinion, like a sort of a bang average, overhyped youngster? Or is there a player here that could really help Newcastle or Man United next season?
I honestly think that's a player that can actually help, I was surprised that our brother at the top there said that Arsenal, he wouldn't be an impact player when you haven't got any striker up there that can actually make an impact right now. But in reality, I think someone like Sesko is actually a great player, right? One, because I think this is something that's underrated a lot of times when it comes to footballers, right? We have strikers who are great finishers, as in they place the ball in the corner of the goal. They're excellent. And there are some strikers who get the ball, and when they hit one, it's pure, it's beautiful, and it's strong. That kind of player, when you have that kind of player who can shoot outside the box, who can do a long range shot, it changes your gameplay in total. Because now the defenders have got two choices. We're gonna have to try and close you, or we have to give you space. Which one we're going to choose? And so when you have that kind of artillery, that's not a normal striker at that point. At that point, you've got someone else who can do some lethal damage. So I really thought he would have been someone that can make an impact for Arsenal, because I don't see any of the strikers doing that. I don't see Havertz doing that, and I love Havertz, but he's not your striker, right? You got Marino, but again, like I said, I don't see him as a natural striker. So I think he would have added some spice to your team. You've gone for Gyökeres already, so fair play. But I think for Newcastle, considering the fact that potentially they might lose them to our Liverpool people over the side over there who want to buy everybody. The fact they're going to lose Isak to him, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful transition. Because again, I think he's direct, he's powerful, and not only that, when you get a striker that can head the ball, this changes also the way that your team can play. You're not going to just have to play on the ground anymore. You can also do long balls. You can also do wing play, which a lot of teams, whilst they say they do wing play, a lot of teams are not doing the old school. I like to call it old school: kick past the defender, cross it in, let a man head it in. You know, old school them ones. You don't really get a lot of them players. When you get a player who can actually head the ball, again, it changes your team play as in versatility.
Let me ask you a question on that, Kojo, right? Because for a while now, I've been saying I really want to see a team try this, like a left-footed, left-sided winger and a right-footed, right-sided winger, putting crosses and early crosses into the box for a striker that can header. I have this, just a gut feeling, just a hypothesis that would make a lot of centre-back struggle, because what we get most of the time now is run, dribble, cut back, a slight delay, then a cross. Hitting those early crosses to someone that can actually head a ball could pay dividends, at least for a period of time, until defenders kind of get used to that again, because it isn't done that regularly in football.
Yeah, no, it will make a massive difference. It was a couple of years ago. This is years, probably the 2005 seasons, right? When they used to do, free kicks, we used to start curling it in to the far post, and someone just needs to flick it on and it goes in. That's the equivalent of what you're talking about. It adds another level of depth to your team in terms of playing it. Because right now, I see a lot of teams, it's pass back, pass sideways, pass back, pass sideways. And it's very, very Lombardos a lot of times, right? So I think that someone like Sesko can improve a team because of the fact that he's direct, he's powerful, he can head the ball, and he can shoot, not just from inside the box, but outside the box. He will change the team.
I agree. I think Benjamin Sesko should be Newcastle's number one target. He is an exceptional number 9. I've never said any differently or believed any differently. He's an upgrade on Isak, to be honest. If you can sell Alexander Isak to Liverpool and buy a guy like Benjamin Sesko, an obvious upgrade, someone with so much potential, so much quality, I think it's a deal you do in a heartbeat. I think Newcastle should be fully committed to that deal and making sure that they pull Liverpool's pants down rather than us doing it the other way around, as has been perceived by people not like me, of course. I've always been on the Benjamin Sesko train.
You're a shameless con artist.
Shameless. Disgrace.
If he goes United, dope, all my old thoughts stand true. I only need to sell him to Newcastle so they give me Isak.
I'm telling you that Sesko is not the only striker that needs to be bought by Newcastle to get the Isak. Any striker on the market right now is gettable for Newcastle to replace Isak. You need to relax. You're getting Isak. Stop making it about you. See, Liverpool fans always do this. Make it about themselves.
KJ will win in the transfer window for the first time. I don't know what to do in this situation. I've clowned people for years for this, but now I'm doing it. It's boss.
You're moving like Jords, man. Remember what you are. Relax. Okay, listen. Okay, so Sesko is a good player. People who say that is this crap, rubbish player like Tom and Hussam. Did Hussam call him crap? I'm sure he called him crap.
Yes, that's the one thing me and him agree on.
Like, Stafford calls him rubbish, but I don't think he's rubbish. He's a good player. He has qualities in a striker that you would want. He's got foundations in the striker that you would want. He's tall, he's quick, he's strong, he's got a good shot on him, and he's got hops. He can leap high in the air and head the ball. which, funny enough, for most strikers, is a struggle. Tell me which striker scores the most headed goals in this modern day, because I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? And if he's number one, it's probably an older striker, like 35, because that's what they grew up on. These younger strikers don't know what heading is. So he's got good fundamentals for a player. Now, he is very raw, which is the problem, and he needs to develop. Is Man United that place? That is the question. Yes, I know we've got one game a week. Yes, I know we've got less pressure, quote unquote, because we're not in Champions League or Europa League, and we sunk so low in the league that anything better than 15th is an improvement, and you can say we have a good season, right? So that is true. But with this fan base, and with where we're at, and with the scarring that we've had because of a certain Rasmus Højlund has done to us as a fan base, it's gonna make his time at Man United very, very difficult. Whereas at Newcastle, I think they'll be more sparing and more kind to him and give him more time, because they'll probably be upset about losing Isak. They won't blame him. They'll give him time, and they'll see the potential in him. I like him. I think he will be good. But if you're offering me Watkins or Mateta, then what, Sesko? This is where I'm struggling to pick any one of them as like an outright favorite, because all of them got their pros and cons. And my main thing with Sesko is I'm just worried about him coming in and not being able to handle the pressure of being the number 9 for Man United.
What's Mateta's cons?
Mateta's cons.
I can see the other two, but I don't necessarily see the same cons.
I think with Mateta, as much as he's done great now for Palace and he's on fire and looks great, I still don't know if he can make that big step up, because we've got to remember when he came to the Premier League, he was scoring 2 goals a season in 36 games. So yes, it's found his rhythm, and I'm happy for him, and I would take him. But then we also have to think: is it a straight slot in and play with someone like Mateta, where now again pressure slightly higher, fan base is a lot meaner? Because look what we did to Lukaku, and he had a better Premier League record than Mateta in the Premier League. You know what I'm saying? So if Mateta is just about the step up, I think he's got the qualities to do well, but I don't know if he could step up to that level.
I think he'd be the one to handle it.
I'd like him though. I like him though. I will take him.
I just think in terms of transition and adapting to the way United play, I think Mateta's probably the best bet. He plays. Palace and United play very similar setups, and I think that with the players United have bought this window in Cunha and Mbeumo, the kind of players that Mateta has thrived at playing with in the last couple of years at Palace, you got your quicker one and your more technical one, but both of them. So it was Ismail Sarr and Eze, and then before that it was Elise and Eze. You've got a version of that in Mbeumo and Cunha. So I think the Mateta would be able to slot into that United team and adapt to the players around him, because he'd be asked to do very similar things at United as he was at Palace. Now, the question mark would be, teams probably play United a bit differently than what they play Palace, and I can accept that. But I think Mateta, at the age he's at, I think he's smart enough to figure out how to get around that. And ultimately as well, buying Mateta would mean that you can put yourself in the market for the next 2 summers if a better striker becomes available. Yeah, that's true. If you buy a Sesko now, you're pretty much locking yourself into the Sesko project.
Well, that's what we need to be correct about, though. That's the thing for me, because when you actually, the thing is, when you watch all of these guys with the eye, if you then look at the stats, there really isn't that massive. You'll see one, whether you're looking at the percentile stats like Hussam was using. He's only in the 7th. You know, I was actually just looking at these while you gents were talking. If you think like non-penalty goals, Benjamin Sesko is in the it's the 69 percentile. Jean-Philippe Mateta is 62%, 62. Ollie Watkins is 64. So none of them are, you know, they'll all have 1 or 2 bits where they're better than the other. So for instance, like Ollie Watkins is like he's about 65 to 97% on everything related to like shots, as an example, where Jean-Philippe Mateta is more in the 50s and 40s. Benjamin Sesko's is 50s, but there are a few that are really low, like in the 30 percentile for like shot creating actions. But then you go to passes attempted, pass completion, progressive carries, take-ons. Benjamin Sesko is better than both of them in those areas. There's loads between them, whether you want to look at the stats, whether you want to how you watch the game. The one thing is for sure is that all of them are better in nearly every single category than Rasmus Højlund. So for me, it's a case of the price is more the point here. Even though if you get a Benjamin Sesko, you'd say, well, you're locked into him forever. Well, it depends how much you spend. So if they're all available for around 60 million, if in 2 years' time we've got more money and we're doing better, and there's suddenly a new Isak or a new Haaland that we might be able to sign as a football club, you can still do it. If they're better than Sesko, you still do it. It's if you're dropping 80, 90 million pounds on a player, it's a lot harder. So for me, I'm not too concerned about that, if that makes sense. And at the end of the day, there are pros and cons to all three major strikers that we're now currently linked to, two properly linked to in Ollie Watkins and Sesko. I don't think any Man United fan worth their salt are going to sit there and say they're perfect. But at the same time, I'm actually not comparing it to what Arsenal are buying, what Chelsea are buying, what Liverpool are buying. We're not in the same stratosphere at the moment, and we've got to improve. And you can go back and look at teams when Liverpool started their rebuild. You've got to go and look at the players they were buying in the early days of Brendan Rodgers, even the early days of Jurgen Klopp. If you go look at the signings when City first started their rebuild, actually started fixing their football club and growing it. If you look at a lot of what goes on, most of these teams, Arsenal, when they started theirs to get back to being title contending, they weren't going out and signing Gyökeres's. They weren't going out and signing Eze's. It was very different. So I know Man United fans, some of us have got this, we need to go out and buy the very best. That isn't always possible. We've gone and done very, very well with Mbeumo and with Cunha. But I think we have to understand where we can shop right now. And I don't think we've got the facilities to buy we can't do our full weekly shop at Waitrose at the moment. Some of our items, we're going to have to go to Morrison's for. Some of our items, we might have to go online to Iceland a little bit, because that's where we are right now. And I'm relaxed about it. I like all three. I've got my personal preference at the right price is Mateta. But when it comes to Watkins and Sesko, honestly, every couple of days my mind changes. But I like all of them. I'm not sitting there. I'm not sitting there flip-flopping in the sense of he's shit, actually he's good. It's crap, actually I don't mind him. I'm more deliberating over which one I'd prefer our money to go into. The one thing I feel is as close to a guarantee you can get in football, all three of them will be a massive and marked improvement on Rasmus Højlund. And I think for me, that's the most important thing. Nobbins, what's your take on this, mate? Obviously, you're very fair with your analysis. How good a player do you think Sesko is? Or do you think he'd be a bit of a waste of money for a Newcastle or a Man United?
I think that it was the word that KJ used, and I agree with it. And it's good. He's a good footballer. And that's where it ends for me right now. I think that he's maybe a player who could develop into this great striker, but he's more of a project player in that sense. This is why I wasn't particularly impressed with the links to Arsenal. I think they needed a better player for the level they are at. It would be a step back for a club like Newcastle. Whereas the position that we all understand that United are in, I think it would make a decent amount of sense. I think I'm aligned with you, Terry. I think that Mateta would be a better option right now, just because he's more of a like a banker signing right now in the short term, and then you can United can hopefully, from their perspective, develop into a more competent side. It wouldn't be a bad signing by any means. As I say, it would be a step back for Newcastle compared to Isak for a club like United, where they are at right now. And that's not a dig.
No, that's true.
Where were they last season? Was it 16th, 17th? He's not a player that's going to take you to, Champions League football, whatever. But he is a player who can potentially bridge that gap to being competent again in the short term. Maybe in the long term, he could be that, because again, he's a project player. Yeah. But right now, he's clearly not that. It's just whether, I think, again, sorry, Kojo, I think you said it again, is United the best breeding ground for project players and developing players? There's just so many unknowns with United right now. But I would like the signing to United. I think that makes a decent amount of sense. I like the idea of him linking up with Cunha and Mbeumo as well. It could be quite a nice attacking three, that.
If I had my way, I would sell, obviously, the guys want to sell, like Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony. I'd also sell Rasmus Højlund, and I would sign both a Sesko and a Watkins or a Mateta. So one of the two Premier League strikers and Sesko. I think if we ever did that, I don't think we will. I just don't think we're in a position to do that. If we ever did that, I think that'd be a great move for Man United and what we want to do.
I like that. I don't know if that's realistic, but if that's being mooted, that's a really good alternative. Yeah.
Would you sell Xerxes?
Yeah, for a better striker, yes. I like Xerxes. No, I do like Xerxes. I like what he can bring to the team, but if he's going to be a striker, he doesn't bring enough goals into the team. And for me, the way that Amorim plays, he likes his striker to be getting goals, and he's just not going to get that. But if you say he's an option for the number 10 positions, I would keep him because he's got the technical ability to play for our club. It's just the physicality and the speed that he lacks. If you could this is a problem with Man United. We have too many times we've had players. We had two of them, and they're both lacking in areas that the other ones are good at. So if we could put Xerxes and Højlund together, we would have the physical attributes of Højlund and the technical ability of Xerxes in one player, and that would actually, I think that could work. It's the same when we had McTominay and Fred. Put them together, it would have been great. But yeah,
the one thing we do have to, I do get the breeding ground element. The one thing we have to be mindful of is this has happened so much at United, and I think Arsenal have somewhat kicked themselves over the Isak situation when they went and got Kai Havertz. You go and get Mateta now, and he does a very good job, but you are going to need a new striker in 3 or 4 years' time. If you don't get Sesko now and he stays at Leipzig or he goes to Newcastle, and then within 2 years, 3 years, he reaches that potential everybody's talking about, and then you're looking at another 120 million pound player. This is where I want United fans to keep it 100. Every United fan that's saying no to him, whether it's on ability or more so, we're not the right breeding ground or we need a ready now striker. I don't want to see any of you moan if in 2 or 3 years' time he's killing it and his price tag's 120 million, because those Man United fans will be the same ones that be like, my club is so shit, my club is so stupid, we should have done this. But they'll be the same guys kicking off if we do sign him now. But that's in my mind. My mind is, imagine we've passed on so many players in the last decade. So many we've passed on. Caicedo should have been out for £2.5 million. As an example, Erling Haaland, ever before Ollie was our manager, he was making calls to the club saying, you've got to go and sign this guy. We could have picked him up for a pittance. The club said no. There's been plenty more along. The club turned down Toni Kroos. Like, we've done this. Toni Kroos was more regarded as a top player back then. We had chances at Thiago Alcantara. We moved away from it. There's been so many players that we could have brought in before they've reached their peak, but we just, for one reason or another, went, oh no, let's go for something a little bit more tried and tested, a little bit more, let's go get Fellaini instead, because everyone knows him and, everyone's buzzing about him. And we literally signed Fellaini instead of Toni Kroos. You got to put that, United have been doing that for a long time now. So that's the only thing I hope, when it comes to our scouts and the people now running, is I know that everybody wants to improve and they want something that's ready-made. And I get why there's they're clamoring for that at Arsenal, because they would need to win now. But I still, to the largest possible degrees, think you can't always chase the short-term success for the longer-term gain of your squad, because you could turn down so many talented players. You really, really would. And I just think we need to get that balance right. I love the fact we've gone for a lot of Prem-proven, the age profile of Cunha and Mbumo. That's what I like about Emi Martinez. It's what I like about other players we're linked to. At the same time, I've just got this gut feeling about Sesko that a lot of people are laughing at him now. I'm writing him off and I actually think that's because he was linked to Arsenal. I think if he'd been linked to Man City, everybody would be doing up a very different story about this kid. I've just got this feeling that we're going to end up regretting not buying him. And we might have legitimate and well-reasoned arguments to not buy him now. But I've just got this horrible feeling with it again, that we're going to be looking at him at Newcastle in 2 years' time. He scored 25 league goals and we're going, oh, we can't afford him now. And he could have been ours. So I hope that we make the right decision. The battle's interesting as well, because Newcastle have got so much more. I only think we get him if he truly chooses us. If he says, I'm open to either, have a bidding war, fill your boots, Leipzig, we're done. They've got so much more cash because these scumbag scousers are about to go and get Isak. They've got 120 million pound coming their way. But listen, viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions on him. I think he'll be a hit in the Premier League over the next few years. I think at 6'5", with his athleticism, with his ability in the air, I really do think he'll be And again, he's going to cost 60 million. So we've got to put that into perspective. That the world's best young strikers in Rooney's era were being sold for 25 to 35 million. That's the equivalent of 200 million in today's money. He's not that expensive. You know, he's not 150 million pound. It's around 60 million. And I think you're looking at a player that could get you 15 to 20 league goals a season for numerous years. That's a good return of investment.
I've got a hot take about Newcastle right now. And I've thought about it. Nicholas Jackson would be a better signing for them than Benjamin Sesko.
Why don't you sign him then? If he's a better signing, no.
Did you not hear what I said? For Newcastle, for Man United, definitely not. But the reason why I say Nicholas Jackson, because profile-wise, he's actually pretty close to Isak in terms of what he can do on the ball. Finishing ability, he's nowhere near Isak, but he can dribble, he can link up play, and he can bring in the wide players. If you look at their wide players, they've got Anthony Gordon, they've got Jacob Murphy, they've got Anthony Elanga and Harvey Barnes. Those players like to run at defenses, get in behind, and take shots and score goals. Sesko,
they got Elanga for that.
Yeah. So you got no, but here's what I'm saying. Jackson would be able to be that middleman to link up those play, get them going, and he may not be needing to score all the goals. He can have Elanga, he can have Gordon, Barnes scoring the goals. I think he might be a low-key great signing for Newcastle, for what they're trying to do.
The problem is, KJ, I would agree with you if Alexander Isak didn't have the goal scoring numbers that he had. So if it was a case where when Isak was at Newcastle, the wing Gordon and who played on the right, Murphy were the leading scorers for Newcastle, and Isak, they got 15 each, and Isak got 12. I'd sit there and go, "You're spot on." They're playing with a 9 who facilitates for the wingers. But I look at the wingers at Newcastle, and all they do is cross the ball and create.
Sorry.
I actually saw the comment too. Yeah?
That's suddenly sorry.
I've been caught.
If I look at the wingers that Newcastle have, Jacob Murphy is more of a creator than a scorer. Gordon is like a mix of both, but if you're going to lean on something more, he puts in more crosses than score. You'd rather have him cross than shoot. Barnes is the only one that I look at and go, he's more of a scorer than a creator. Harvey Barnes will score goals for you. But even Elanga last year, he scored 6 goals and got 11 assists. He's someone who thrives with having that guy to build, to play into, to create for the striker. Jackson, as you very well pointed out, good at the link-up, good at the bringing others into the game. But what you worry would happen with Newcastle then is you'd play a front three of people who don't want to shoot. Not all of them want to play the pass rather than be the guys to take the shot. I think that for Newcastle, if you spent so big on Anthony Elanga, who thrived when he had a Chris Wood to play with, Anthony Gordon had his best numbers when he was playing to an Isak. I think the manager still doesn't really trust Harvey Barnes like that to be the starter week in, week out and to play into him and his strengths. So I think ultimately for Newcastle, they still need that guy who can be the 20 goal a season, 25 goal a season guy, ideally. That's more so what they need up front, unless Anthony Gordon and Elanga suddenly take these leaps in this pre-season to where I'm looking at them going, they're the finishers for out wide.
That's fair enough. But then it's like, okay, cool. We're looking at goal scoring. Jackson has pretty much been in and around the goals as much as Sesko. And if we're going to do Premier League experience, he's already got that. He's already proven that he can actually do something in the Premier League. The problem with Jackson is that you're playing for Chelsea, where your expectation to be scoring goals as their striker is very high. You're supposed to be competing for the title, supposed to be competing for the Champions League. It's supposed to be that. Those are the levels that Chelsea are expecting. But at Newcastle, where again the expectation is lower, I think Jackson could do a job.
Do you want to know where I would have been a lot more on board with you? It would have been if the Visser deal was going ahead with Newcastle. If that goes ahead, then all of a sudden you've got a guy who can get you 15 to 20 goals who can play off the left. And then I'm sitting there going, okay, well then if you've got your 20 goal a season guy there, you can afford to have a 10 goal a season guy in the middle if he's really good at facilitating. I still think that I know that there's the whole thing going on with the Europa League thing, and he might get in there and that might change his mindset. I still think that Mateta should be the top guy for a number of these teams because he does everything you want from a number 9. And crucially, because of his age, he's going to give you 2 to 3 really good years, and you don't lock yourselves out of a striker market if it comes up. So let's say next season, some guy who none of us were considering now puts it all together, and all of a sudden he's the next big thing. If you've got a Mateta, he's going to be, 29, 30 next year? A club like a United or a Newcastle could realistically go, yeah, we can afford both of them at the same time because Mateta's not here for 4 years. Mateta's not going to be angling for this game time for 4 years and wanting to be the starter for 4 years. So you get the right sort of crossover point on the guy that you bring in. That's why I think that these teams like a Newcastle and like a United who, unless they see Sesko as the best guy, then it's a different case. But I think they're looking at Sesko and they're looking at Watkins and etc. going, it's not ideal. It's not what we really want. So in that case, you need to go at the best stopgap for 2 years and hope that in the market you can hit it in the next 2 years. That's why I think that for Newcastle, I hear the Jackson shout, but I think Mateta is the better option for them.
Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions on that. Who is the better option for Newcastle? Let us know in the comment section below. Speaking of strikers, we all know what's going on with the Alexander Isak situation. He's dreaming of Liverpool.
I'm dreaming of him, mate. We're dreaming of each other. It's a lovely little dynamic.
It's a bit weird, mate. Bit weird. But there's talk of 138 million euro bid going in, or what's that, about 119 million pounds. But I'm going to go to Nobbins first, but I want to ask this question to Joe as well, and the rest of the panel. But I want to start with Nobbins. How concerned are you with Liverpool next season in terms of your ability to catch them as City if and when they land this Isak deal that does seem to appear to be so obviously going to happen?
Yeah, it's they would have a ridiculous amount of firepower, wouldn't they? I think I was trying to come up with like a lineup for Liverpool that would incorporate, all of Ekitike, Isak, Salah, Verts, and would still have balance. And I think that can be created by slots. And then you add in, these really offensive fullbacks like Quenches and Frimpong. It does become a concern, a worry, I'd say. You sort of like looking to try to. I don't even know like how you would combat that. I was going to say outscore them, but that's going to be a tricky task, isn't it? I guess the only thing I'm sort of like banking on in my head, and maybe it's just like cope, is there going to be the correct balance in the midfield if Ekitike, let's say, starts out on that left side and Verts is more of like a more traditional attacking midfielder. If there's like players behind him, maybe a combination of like Gravenberch, McAllister, or Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, whatever, is that going to be enough balance from like a counter-attacking perspective and rest defense? That's sort of what I'm clinging on to. There is a big unknown about City, of course, as well, because we've got players coming back from injury, players, basically everyone off form. But yeah, if that signing happens, then I think you would have to say that Liverpool are definitely the favourites. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be a loser and go, oh, we can't definitely win the title, because we absolutely can. Because, we faced, I know City were better back then, but we faced tougher Liverpool sides, with like Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah, all in their primes, whatever, in addition to Firmino, Mane, Robertson, and Trent, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to say that it's an impossible task, but it's clearly a very fantastic window by Liverpool in respect to the incomings. And yeah, it's a concern. As I say, the only thing I can really cling on to is that balance in the midfield going to be there. But again, I feel like that's just my head trying to convince me.
Find something
of that. I think so. Anyway, I don't know what Tom thinks about that. To be fair, of that proposed midfield.
I think that's probably a midfield you'll see a lot against the lower end teams in the league. I wouldn't be awfully shocked if at points in the season Verts was moved out to the left so we could put Szoboszlai back in to the 10 and have Szoboszlai just be that engine that can run up and down and cover everyone, because I do think that because we haven't bought this DM that can cover ground and destroy in that really good way that Fabinho used to do, there could be a little bit of a problem if we are caught in positions where it's McAllister, Gravenberch, Van Dijk and Canate. It's very much reminiscent to what happened at the back end of Klopp, where you're defending with 2 centre-backs at a time and you're going to get killed by teams that can counter-attack very well. So I think that could be something that happens. I also wouldn't be shocked to see Conor Bradley starting a bit more over Frimpong, just because the way Bradley attacks is a little bit more like conservative compared to the way Frimpong attacks. So Bradley can sit a little bit narrower and a little bit deeper and give you just that quicker recovery side of it. But I do think it's just been a case of we're going to put together such a strong attacking unit and play into their hands that a lot of these games we might look a little bit sort of open defensively, but attack's the best form of defense. We can pen teams back and kill them in multiple different ways. And, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if Ekitike doesn't necessarily start every game. If it's a case of like, because we still got Gakpo as well, and I do get the feeling that we are going to buy probably one more younger attacker if we let Chiesa and Nunes go, just someone who can go on the right when Salah goes AFCON, and that gives you just so much flexibility there. So I'm not overly concerned yet. I need to see it in action. I think that the fullbacks will cover it pretty well, and I think Dominic Szoboszlai will play a lot more than people really realise he will do, because he's still the only guy in that midfield who can cover the ground to the level that we need.
You're counter pressing from the front as well with like Isak, who's a demon like that. Salah, obviously, great work rates, and Ekitike if he starts as well. As you say, like attack's the best form of defense. So it's like even when a side wins the ball back, all those players are going to be gunning to win the ball back. So yeah, it's a dangerous proposition. I expect Liverpool to get sort of like certainly 90s, sort of like mid 90s points next season. So my question is, as a City fan, obviously, is just, can we rediscover the form that we had a couple of years ago and challenge Liverpool in that sense? Again, it's a big unknown for City in that sense, with all players coming back and whatnot.
It is. Joe, how do you see it as an Arsenal fan? Look, you've gone and got Zubimendi, who I thought looked fantastic yesterday. You've got young Max Dowman. I've got a big hot take on him, by the way. I've got a massive hot take on him. Maybe I'll reveal it. No, you're going to reveal that on Terry Fluids TV tomorrow. Keep your eyes out for that, and we'll see if it comes to fruition. But where's your head at with this? Your club's moving well this summer. Gyökeres is in. Heard he's going to be could even be in the squad for the Spurs friendly on Thursday. But how are you feeling about this when you actually look at it and review it, with Liverpool doing an absolute madness? Are you feeling resigned to the season? Because there's a lot of gooners that are saying the season is over before it started. Is that the headspace you're in, Joe?
I think anything can happen in a season. A lot of people will want to say that Liverpool will win the league, and I think those kind of predictions do kind of just take the fun out of football a little bit. Those kind of people saying the season's over before it started. Look, anything can happen in a season. It's football. But what I will say is that Liverpool, in this transfer window, they're being very brave in the fact that they are looking at where their problems are, and they're not just buying any player to solve that problem. They're buying the best player in the market for maybe a little bit over on that Wirtz thing, looking a little bit shifty on that, but for a good price. So I see Quenches. I don't think there's a better left back on the market at the moment. I look at Frimpong, a good right back to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't really see any much better than that. How much did you get Frimpong for again? I forgot.
30 million-ish.
30 million. You see, that's just a great price. I think I look at Frimpong, I value him. He's a brilliant player. I value him. I saw him around. I thought it was great price when I saw he got him for 30 mil. I thought, Jesus. But this Isak signing just kind of, I'm speechless really at it, because I think that what can you do as a team? Say you're Bournemouth on the opening game of the season, and you're all excited to play, and then you see that attack coming at you. What can you do really? That's a brilliant attack, so much firepower, and you're going to have to put in such a big of a shift to defend that, and it's going to be so hard to defend that. And I think would it be too crazy? Would it be crazy at all to say that this is the best summer transfer window from a club? Really?
Oh, yeah, like from a champion, I think it might be the best from the
Yeah.
season from a reigning champion.
What are you saying, Kojo?
We haven't seen it in action, though, have we?
Kojo, hang on, sorry guys. Kojo's face changed dramatically at that take. What are you saying, bro?
Do you know what it is? I think is whenever we hear takes like it's already done. I'm like, from a footballing perspective, when you play football, anybody that has that mindset with me, I used to hate playing with them because it really is done when you have that mindset. You're not a winner, you're a loser, and you're gonna cause everybody around you to play lower than you need to play. Like, I think Liverpool have a great team. I think with Isak in there, it improves their team. It does not give them that they are going to win this league outright. There are other teams. I love what Arsenal have done so far. I think Arsenal are going to be a big player in this situation. I think Chelsea are going to be a big player in this situation. I actually think Man City are going to be a bit of a dark horse, right? Because one thing I love about Pep is a good system. That brother going to find a system somehow, some way. And now we're discounting him as if like he's not involved. He going to find some way to get involved in the situation. There are other teams in and around the mid-level teams who also might have a great season, who are going to be a bogey for some teams. So for me personally, saying like just because they got Isak, it's over. I'm like, that for me is I don't think that's a smart take. It improves their attacking prowess, absolutely. But we saw this with PSG, them having the high line pressing at the very front, having Dembele looking like the beast that he was for that whole tournament. Somehow, when you are a tactician, you find a way and you find a way through that press. So I think just saying that outright buying Isak makes a complete difference, that they're going to completely obliterate teams. No, because the counter attack that I foresee, as we saw with Milan the other day, that defense for me is looking a bit shaky. Van Dijk is not the Van Dijk I saw before. Van Dijk is not even close.
I wouldn't read too much into that preseason game, though.
It's not about that, but it's about exposing the holes, right? Because as a team, you have to watch those.
You weren't seeing a defense in that game. So in the first half, the goal that everyone harps on about, our back four was Robertson, Van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch at centre back, and Lucas Stevenson, who's an 18-year-old academy central midfielder playing at right back. I'm not shocked. And in the second half, it was Frimpong, Kanate, Tsimikas at centre-back, and Quenches, which is a better one, but still. Kostas Tsimikas is a crap defensive left-back. Him at centre-back is even worse. If I was seeing Kanate and Van Dijk playing together, and we were getting cut open that easy, and we were getting that exposed, I'd share the same concerns. But because I haven't seen that yet, I can't harbour that same worry, because I think that once you put them two centre-backs in, alongside two actual first-team fullbacks, not centre-mids out of position, I think that the back line as a unit looks a bit stronger, because right now it's just a lot of mix and match, which leaves certain key players playing with kids who've never been kids or players out of position, which is never really a great look.
I'm not saying that you got to, like, you know, that Van Dijk is finished or the team is finished. What I'm saying to you is, as an opponent, I'm looking for the exposure. How to expose you? Mm-hmm. I'm looking for your weaknesses. We know your up front is amazing. It's wonderful. You know what I'm saying to you, right? It's a brilliant up top. But I'm saying to you, I think that's also going to be your Achilles. As someone, I love what they said, Achilles heel. I think your engine right now, as much as I see works in there, I think that could be exposed. And I think also the defense in the central part can be exposed as well, right? Because if you got such attacking fullbacks as well, this is where I think you're going to find that people are going to exploit. And again, it just depends on what people are willing to take that risk. If teams are willing to take that risk, we could see a lot of different football going on this season.
I think people are going to be a bit shocked at how we use the fullbacks, to be honest. I think people have this notion that Liverpool's fullbacks are going to be like the Klopp ones, which were Robertson and Alexander-Arnold bombing past the wingers, getting dead eye up, putting in loads of crosses. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I think Quenches is going to be sitting quite deep, and I think both fullbacks are going to be dead narrow, to where the best way I can describe it, Quenches, when we have the ball, until we get to the final third, I think he's going to be like a centre-back. And I think Bradley, when we have the ball, up until we get into the final third, is going to be a midfielder. So that if we lose the ball before we get there, it's not a case of Kanate and Van Dijk having to stand there like it's like an army charge at them and try and stop the counter. I think that they're going to be quite limited in the roles up until we have the teams penned in. I think that the notion that we've bought Quenches and we've bought Frimpong, and they're just going to go bomb up and down the wing, flying up and down. I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to be a lot different in how they play, because we had Trent and Robertson last year, And the pair of them,
Can I need to interject for a second though. What fullback is Frimpong going to play that role? Do you think?
I personally think it'll be Bradley to start the season. I think Bradley will be the starting right back at the start of the season. Now, whether he keeps that role throughout the whole season, I don't know. But I do think that Arne Slot is going to lean on having the fullbacks be Bradley and Quenches to start the year.
Can I ask a question, Tom? So if you think that Quenches is not, it sounds like you've described there as Quenches not necessarily holding the width on the left side. You said earlier that you want Wirtz to technically be on the left. Are you having Wirtz holding width?
No. So that Wirtz thing would only be a case of if I'm going against the top team. I think that the game plan slightly changed there. I'm going in a normal situation. It'll be Gakpo on the left. I don't think Ekitike will be starting many games out on the left, to be honest. If it's Gakpo on the left, Gakpo holds the width. Whereas if it was Wirtz on the left, I think that's where the fullback roles change slightly and Quenches pushes on a bit more.
Gotcha.
I still stand on my hot take when you guys sign Frimpong. I've got a feeling he's the more the long-term replacement of Salah than he is Trent.
Wouldn't shock me because he's played right wing in every preseason game so far. Yeah,
I mean, just a thought. I mean, most of the times I watched Leverkusen, he didn't play it. He wasn't a wing back. He was a winger. He was an attacker. He didn't do any. People go, I barely defend. Well, yeah, he weren't instructed to. He literally was an attacker.
Literally, when their defensive shape more time was 4-4-2, and he was the right midfielder for Leverkusen in that defensive shape. So.
Netherlands as well, I think, right? He's more of a right midfielder or right winger, right?
He plays right wing for Netherlands too.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised in seeing that, and Conor Bradley sort of nurtured in that way, to be fair. But yeah, look, I do listen. I think I've had some hyperbole moments. I said it right when it comes to them getting Isak, and I think that's, do you know what that is, Kojo? That's me. It's the knee-jerk reaction and kind of preparing myself for the deal to happen. I'm in the mindset of it's happening, and I don't care if I get bantered in a week or two if it collapses. Oh, you said it would get done. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that purely for mental preservation. So if it happens, I'm well on the road to accepting it as happening. And then if it doesn't happen, it's a win for me because I'll be happy that Liverpool don't get him. But I do agree with your mindset, which is I would be horrified as a fan of City, Chelsea, or Arsenal if my respective manager was sitting in the dressing room going, guys, there's no point trying this year because it's over because Liverpool have got Isak. It's funny because I've seen a lot of Arteta outers who are like, season's over now, this happened, nothing we can do. But they'll still moan every game, which again is moronic if you're already conceding the season. Therefore, why does analysing the games even matter if it's actually already over? So you can tell whether people actually mean it or not. But look, I actually think if I was in a position to challenge this year, if Man United were in that position, I'd almost be relishing this. And why I say that is when Man United were a good team, it didn't matter to me who City bought, who Chelsea bought, who Arsenal bought. Before that, who Newcastle, who Blackburn, who Leeds United bought. I used to, come on, let's have it. Let's go for it. And football's changed a little bit online. There are some fans now that I respect their opinion who are just, if we don't win, I'm not happy. If we don't win a trophy, I'm not happy. And I never was happy without winning a trophy per se. But I used to love the challenge. It was the fight. It was, yes, let's go toe-to-toe this year. Can't wait for that battle. And that was every bit. That was every bit a part of the season. And it was excitement. And if we didn't win a trophy one year, you went into the summer again. All right, let's go. Oh, Chelsea have gone and bought Crespo. Chelsea have gone and done. All right, bang, let's go. Come on, let's have it. That seems to have gone in football fandom now. Everything's very defeatist. Know where it's going to happen. I don't care about the journey. I don't care about the fight. I don't care about that. All I care about is winning. Honestly, I'm at a point where I feel like saying to these guys, "But just tuning in May, then, bruv. Like, if you're not interested in anything that happens before May, what are you even doing here? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I feel like people aren't enjoying. Everyone's entitled to view it how they want, but I do feel a little bit like, are you even enjoying football anymore? Like, is it really the sport? Maybe there's a different sport where it's all just about the winning on the day and that's all that matters. Well, I think football's a different game. So I can't speak for Arsenal, City or Chelsea fans because I'm not one, but I'd be relishing what Liverpool are doing to a certain degree because it isn't as though you guys have got shabby teams and squads. It's not like you're not doing good business because beat them to this title now and damn, there's some egg on their face. And that is where the what I would call the real banter comes in. If, for instance, Chelsea just click, go on and win the league. Imagine Liverpool having their biggest and best summer ever and not winning the league. That for me would be a beautiful achievement if my club was able to stop them. So yeah, I think your clubs have got to embrace it. I think your fans have got to, encourage your club, yes, to do more. But yeah, relish the fight, relish the battle. It's what we tune in to watch. It's why every game matters, right? Every win, every draw, every goal matters, because anything can happen. And we know that. Liverpool won the league last year. I was called a madman for suggesting they might be in the title race till Christmas last year. They won the league. Now this year, we're completely writing off 3 teams. Crazy to me. Crazy. Liverpool definitely the clear favourite. They're the favourite. But by no means is it a done and dusted race at this stage. I agree with you there. You're right.
Yeah, I don't think people find football fun anymore. Unfortunately, like supporting your team used to be fun. I think since social media came through, and you've got before it's like, okay, cool. You go into school, you got your friends you got your friends who may support other clubs. They might come and banter you about it. So that might be 5 to 10 people in school that might come and say something to you. But now, because of social media, that's turned into thousands of people will come and say something to you because your team lost. And I think a lot of people have taken that to heart, and they don't find football fun anymore. Because if you really think about it, if you was a neutral and you weren't supporting any other team, you'd look at all the business. You'd look at all the teams and be like, yo, this is going to be sick. Like, this is going to be amazing season. Like, when we look forward to the World Cup, and you got some of the countries with some of the best teams that they can field, even though you're a rival of maybe of Germany or France or Spain or whoever, you're still looking forward to the World Cup as a whole, because you're there for the whole experience. Like, we was at the Euros. Tom, like, as much as we wanted England to win, we was having more fun watching everyone else play.
Make the Turkey games. Oh my God,
the Turkey games are loving it. Imagine if Turkey fans were turning up to the Euros like, we're not going to win it.
Look at last night. Look at last night as a prime example. I watched the opening game of the women. By the way, I think the one thing the men's international tournaments could learn from the women's is less teams is better. You get to the quarterfinals, so it feels like so quickly, and it's all higher quality. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to certain nations at the World Cups and even the Club World Cup. I still think would have been a better tournament if amateur teams weren't there and it was like the best of the best. That's just me. And that includes some of the South American teams that were brilliant. Even, Al Hilal were very good. Like, we need high quality. But imagine England lost their opening game and were comprehensively beaten by France. If the viewers were like watching none of it now, it's all rubbish, pointless, we ain't going to win it, what's the point? If that was the attitude that the fans and England took, we wouldn't have just become back-to-back champions. We wouldn't, and I would expect this in the next honours list. The likes of Leah Williams, the likes of Chloe Kelly. I know that the manager can't be given a damehood because she's not British, but there's an honorary version of that can be done. In fact, just give her a British passport. I mean, just do it and give her a night. Does it really matter? Do you know what I mean? She's as English as the rest of us now, as far as I'm bloody concerned. But I don't know. I just look at it sometimes, and there are people that love football still. But I'm starting to agree with KJ. But I do think it's online fan. I think it's exclusive to online fans. And my view is this: it's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. It's easier to not be supportive than it is to be supportive. Because if you're supportive, if Kojo, for instance, comes out every day between now and the start of the season, Chelsea are going to challenge. In fact, by the time we start, it goes, I'm going for my team to win the league. And every week for 2 or 3 months, well, there we go. For 2, 3, 4 months, right? He's like, we're going to do it. Hey, we lost today, but we're going to win it. We're going to win it. If at the end of the season they come third, Kojo won't hear the end of it all summer. He got it wrong. He got it wrong. But Kojo's a strong man. He can handle that. He's got a personality. He can handle it. What a lot of football fans do is, I don't think we can win it. We're crap. Every defeat. Told you. But if they go on to win it, they don't get any shit for 3 or 4 months. What they get to do is they get to go to the parade and celebrate with everybody else. And it's, way, we won. There is a comfort blanket in writing your team off. There is a comfort. Do I think all of them actually are not enjoying football? Maybe not. But I think the persona they put out is, if I say we're crap and we're not going to win and we're rubbish, when everyone knows we're not, I get left alone if we lose. In fact, I'm looked at as a bit of a genius. The rivals actually like me because I shit on my own team. Then if we win, I get to celebrate anyway. It's literally a win-win to do it. And the element of that is, it's just a bit of fun. And I also think there's a lot of football fans online who think that people judge them as a man or a woman based on how many football predictions they get right. And I don't know about you, Kojo. I don't know about you, Joe. I don't know about you, KJ, Nobbins, Tom. When you get a football prediction right or wrong, does it genuinely make you feel different as a man?
My wife sends me to the corner and she puts a dunce hat on my head for saying, "How dare you get that that score prediction wrong? This is why you're weak."
Similar. Yeah, my Freya, my Jackson, and my Archie have said if I get one big prediction wrong this year, they might ask me to not be their dad anymore. It's that bad at my house. Yeah, I agree.
My mates at school, if I get the score predictions wrong, they make me wear a dress to school, and make me wear a skirt. So.
Yeah, there it is, isn't it? Terrible things happen when you get football predictions wrong. So, yeah, it's just deal with it, man. Support your team. And this is what's crazy. Like, we had a big debate in the group chats about this the other day because Staffy was calling me out because he said, "No, but you back Ten Hag staying, or you'd back Sesko if he comes." I'm like, yeah, objectively, I support these decisions. What does that mean? Well, it means I actually quite like Sesko, so I would be behind it. But if we signed a striker that I didn't like, Jackson, I would object. I shouldn't have to use the word objectively support it, but you have to in the modern day world of online conversations, you have to almost over explain yourself. But of course, I'll still be supportive. It's like, no, I think there's something Staffy says to me was, "No, I'd stand on business and not back it." So it's not about standing on business. It's I want the team to win. So when the team comes out on the football pitch, I'm going to cheer them on. That's being supportive. I'm not going to cheer us. I'm not going to basically say, like, "Come on, lose." If Jackson's going through one-on-one on goal, I don't want him to miss so I can go, "I told you he was crap." I want him to score some of the team wins. And in the end, Staffy and I agreed. So I was like, "So you objectively support them as well?" And it was basically, he didn't like that word being used because he doesn't want to be seen as supporting a decision he doesn't like. And I'm like, this is the issue. Who has ever agreed with every decision their team has made ever in the history of supporting your club? Most years you disagree with things.
Ty from AFTV, he has agreed.
That's a good one, to be fair.
That's the whole thing. It's like none of us are ever going to support every decision that our club ever makes. None of us are ever going to do that. You're not going to. Sorry, let's change that word in. We're never going to agree with every decision our club makes. But we're literally called supporters. Our job is to support and back and push and encourage. That doesn't mean give predictions. Again, somebody will become hyperbolic with this and be like, "Oh, you saying I've got to make predictions I don't believe in?" Nobody said that. I shouldn't have to explain this. No one's saying a Man United fan should just predict us winning the league. You might still think we're coming 15th, and that's fair if you think we're coming 15th. But there's this sort of weirdness of I can't support things I don't back. And then I'm in a like, well, if you're not supporting the team, what are you watching for? That's the bit I don't get. Mm-hmm. I hate the football. I hate the manager. I don't support the team. Then I don't now get why you're watching personally. That's just, and I'm not saying you're wrong and you shouldn't do it. I'm not gatekeeping before any little babies cry. What I'm saying is I don't understand why you're subjecting yourself to it. That bit doesn't make sense to me personally, because even when I hate Man United, I love football. I still, and I love Man United in the sense of I can be fuming, still want to win. I could be like, I was buzzing standing up the other night to watch us play a friendly against West Ham just because I thought maybe we'll win. It's a pre-season game, but I want it. I get that feeling. Some people act like they don't have that feeling to me, and I'm like, if I didn't feel like that anymore, I honestly couldn't watch it, and I definitely couldn't do this job. You know, that's just me. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't know, but I do find it a strange world we living in. This from
I think the most part as well is the way it's gone to where the way it's gone now, where like people are going. People would rather be so negative, so that if they're proven wrong at the end of the season and the team wins something, you go, "Oh, they pleasantly surprised me. Oh, I was wrong, and I benefited from it."
Yeah. It's that, or it's I did that. My standards. My
negativity on YouTube. I know my manager watched my negativity on YouTube, and I've got to fix it for him. I've got to do it so he's right in his arguments.
That's my favorite one. My standards got us to this level.
Like the players are going to be sitting there going, "Fuck, we've lost." Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do it for the fan. I'm not going to do it for anyone else. Some lad on YouTube said he expects better from me. Let's lift it up now, boys. That's the form.
No, there is certainly an element of that, and that's why we're going to be asking a couple of really big questions later in the show. And I'll tell you the question now, so you guys can maybe think about it. The question is going to be, and the viewers can think about this, and we'll answer it later. It's going to be, what truly quenches your thirst this season? What do you need to achieve, or what level of performance do you need to see from your football club that would leave you happy at the end of the season and calm and relaxed throughout the course of the summer and the transfer window next year? And I want to know that, because it's not about holding people to account. It's about understanding what you think today, maybe your mind changes during the season, but discussing what made it change. Because I think one thing in the social media space that's missing is you'll see someone, there'll be a clip that will appear that will be like, come on, guys, get behind your team. Let's be supportive. Come on now. Let's not lose our minds. And that same person 3 years later every game might be fuming, calling their manager a CUNT. And I'm always like, I need to know why this person's changed. I'm not saying they're wrong. What they're saying is interesting. The real intrigue for me is, how'd they go from that to this? What was the turning point and why? So we want to do a little bit of that on the Football Terrace this year. So think about this to the audience and, of course, to the panel. What will truly quench your thirst, where you'll end the season happy and be positive throughout the summer and excited about the start of the next season? That's going to be the question that we'll come to later in the show. Some more super chats here. If someone calling the team, if someone calling the team they supposedly support shit after conceding 5 minutes into the second preseason game is a bitch ass move. Yeah, I agree. He is. Yeah, I mean, I think you're an Arsenal fan. I don't know specifically who you're talking about, but it was interesting. I was watching the Arsenal game yesterday. We like, loads of friends and family were out, and the kids and the mums and stuff were off playing rounders and football on the grass, and the lads, we were sitting down having a beer in the park. And there's a gooner that was there called Steve, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna put the game on. Anyone want to watch it?" And I was like, "All right." But watching it with loads of fans that are not online, football fans, some are Arsenal, some are rivals, it was such a different atmosphere to listening to content creators talk. I'll be honest with you, it really, really was. It was like nobody was really bantering them for conceding because it's a preseason game, and the man weren't losing his mind. It was like, "Oh, he looks good." And I was sitting there going, "Isn't this weird? Our group of 20 blokes, only one does content." The difference in reaction was it was just very, very different watching it. You know, and the Arsenal fan talk about 27 years of season ticket holders. We're not just talking some armchair fan, as some might refer to him. But yeah, it was a very interesting day watching it in that environment. Because AC Milan game exposes Liverpool's weaknesses, it doesn't count. However, your defense was also poor last season. You just scored more goals.
I don't know where this narrative's come from. The second best defense in the Premier League last year is now suddenly shit. And it can, again, if we're going to do arbitrary reasons for all these other teams, my arbitrary reason is my team gave 0 shits for the last 4 games. We conceded 9 of our goals in those games. So if I take away those last 4 games, we conceded, I think, 32 goals in 34 games. That's not a bad defense.
I don't think it's.
Nah, we'll go crap. Yeah. AMT says Singapore was like the home team for Arsenal. Oh, it was in the crowd, right? Yeah. Well, it would be. Yeah. Man, bottom, middle. That stringer bell, the wire.
He looks nothing like Idris Elba. What are we doing here?
Idris Elba? No disrespect, Kojo. But
I'm gonna take it.
I mean,
I'm gonna take it.
Geezer, Idris, but no, I don't.
I'm gonna take it.
By the way, I watched these film with John Cena. I didn't think I'd like it.
I did actually the other day as well too.
It was all right. It was all right. Comedy action. It was all right. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny. Sorry, I'm late, gents. Do you think that the Sesko deal will dictate the Isak deal? In my opinion, if United get Isak over Newcastle, I don't see them wanting to sell Isak. Personally, no, Liam. Personally, no, because they're looking at multiple other strikers. I think he goes. I think his head's been turned, and Newcastle were too well run. They're not going to want a player that doesn't want to be there. And now it's all coming out. He's dreaming of Liverpool. There's no way back, man. There's no way back. There really isn't, man. Liverpool are vulnerable in defense. Arsenal is moving well, is what Rosie says here. Good morning, gentlemen from Western Canada. Big up yourself, Michael, over there in Canada. We'll come on to that in a minute. The Moyes' one, Terry, is hindsight, though.
He's talking about how we missed out on certain players.
Yeah, well, it's yes, you could call it hindsight, and I'm hoping that if we don't get Sesko, I'm hoping hindsight doesn't click in and we go bloody hell, we messed up, because yes, it's lucrative, but actually when that's we're football fans, we don't have the qualifications, expertise, or ability to do the due diligence a scout does. But if Man United consistently keep getting suggested by our scouts, Caicedo's and Toni Kroos's and X, Y, and we keep passing them up, and then they go to other teams and kill it, and then they're too expensive to buy, that hindsight we need to take into consideration. We have to start thinking about that as well. You can't ignore like Arsenal did this so much in the 2000s, and then it come to bite them in the arse in the latter Wenger years. They turned down young Zlatans, young Cristianos, young Yaya Tourés. Like there's only so much that you can do. Look how they're buzzing now with the likes of Dalman coming through and Lewis Skelly and whatever else. They all look brilliant kids. Arsenal was turning down players like that 15, 20 years ago. You can't be doing it. You got to get it right. You've got to get your big decisions right. So yes, you can call it hindsight, but hindsight's lucrative. And the reason it's lucrative is you're meant to learn from it. You're meant to learn from hindsight. Look, guys, hindsight. No, you can't learn. Of course, you can learn something from it. Do you know what I mean? If I leave for work and think about a bit late, and then I'm going to take a shortcut I saw on a map, and it's worse traffic than I expected, it's hindsight, yes, that there was traffic, but I'm not going to fucking do it again, am I? Do you know what I mean? Come on, Josh. I know you don't want to say any. You don't want to sort of do anything that would praise Ineos, or you don't want to do anything where you go, oh, they were probably right, and we as fans shouldn't have asked for this. But you've got to be honest, this ain't about them. This is about the club getting better. I'm hearing Gabriel Jesus is linked with Newcastle. Oh, they can't do that. If they do that, they should be shut down.
He can't move
to start the season though.
He can't move. He's injured till January. He can't pass medical.
Yeah, he definitely is Callum Wilson 2.0 if they sign him.
Yeah, they can't be doing that. That can't be happening. That one. Terry, we have to talk about Gibbs White here with Henry. I don't know where Henry disappeared to, but
I'm for one glad that justice was saved and the cheats and the criminals didn't prosper. And a man who fights for justice and fights for the rules to be followed, Angelos Marinakis, got what he truly deserved.
Wait, you talking about the same owner that could be a criminal in his own country? Is that what we're doing here about following rules?
I'm just saying he wanted to make sure that the ownership rules were followed. It might result in Crystal Palace breaking the rules and being kicked out of Europe, which may or may not have benefited Forest, but he was just after justice. And in this situation, I know that Tottenham paid the release clause, but they've done it illegally and they've got justice. And that's what football's about, justice and righteousness and fair play.
Okay. I would love for him to stand on trial in his own country,
this guy,
in real life, and see how it goes.
What did Marinakis do?
What he do? What hasn't he done?
That
is the question. Listen, I'm not saying he has or hasn't. I'm just seeing online some of the things that is like being accused of / being involved with. It looking a bit suspect, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, it's my favorite thing was Gibbs video. I've never seen a player sign a new deal and then had the owner literally standing next to them like that. It looked at it. It was so.
He signed the new deal, and the announcement tweet was about Marinakis.
Yeah,
that was so. You could almost sense there was like a gun pointed at his head somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon Marinakis also has the login details to their social media.
Oh, definitely.
I really do think that. I reckon he's got that. Sits there, he goes, "I'm going to tweet today, guys." Social media manager, have a day off. I'm tweeting. I just wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. I haven't missed your other super chat. We're going to come back to it. There'll be a relevant time for that later in the show, my friend. Armchair Fire Stick users beefing Simicast and Robertson in centre back is crazy. Work. I'm here for the rivals crash out at the start of the season.
Armchair Fire Stick users. Times are hard, man. Times
are
hard.
I hope the rivals watching it weren't using Fire Sticks. I hope they were paying the £4.99 that you need to watch LFC TV, so we can use that to buy a centre back. So Robertson's.
Do you know a lot of United fans have been scammed this preseason? I don't know what United charge, but it's normally like £20 or £30 for like a summer pass to watch all the games. Turns out, barring the Leeds match, all of Man United's games are on Sky.
Oh, you're in that summer series, aren't you? And that's on Sky.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I was sitting there going, "How am I going to watch this game?" Right? Is there a VP? Like, is it on a channel somewhere where I've got a VPN? Because I'm not giving Man United any of my money. Glazers ain't getting a penny of it. And then I was like, "Oh, hang on, it's on Sky." I was like, "That's a touch. That's a touch." Although Sky did the most shameless thing. They put Man United's transfer deals in US dollars on the screen.
They're trying to
British
claim,
TV.
it's because we're broadcasting it to the US. Please.
Do I look at it this? Hang on, yeah, but there are Americans broadcast the NFL here, but nobody.
We don't see the wages in pounds.
Yeah, in pounds.
Equally,
Yeah.
when the NFL comes and plays in London, when someone runs however many yards, we don't convert it into meters or anything like that. We leave it in their language. You know, we it's like leave English sport in the English language. If you do deals, put it in pounds. If it's a German team, put it in I need to francs. Put it in, they didn't even have francs, it was Deutschmark, but put it in the euro, right? I just don't get. We know why this is happening. We know it's to make Man United look like they're spending, even in the summer where we're not really spending anything they can to make it look more. Sky, man, they still hate us because of Fergie. Terry, that wasn't Ineos. They have helped us get better as a team by getting us goals this summer. It's not time for the players and the managers to do their job because the pressure is on us. We're not talking about the players doing their job. We're talking about, in this instance, we're speaking about doing the right deals for the club. And if the club are sitting there and they say Christian Vivel and Barada are sitting there and like, we truly believe as football men that in 2 to 3 years' time, Sesko is going to be one of the best strikers in the world. But he's £10 million more expensive now, or he's the same price as a proven Ollie Watkins. But if they think Sesko is going to be a better player and they truly believe they can develop him into that player, it makes more sense to buy the Sesko than it does the Ollie Watkins. But you've got to be able to develop him. What I don't want us to do is to save 9 million and for short-termism is get Watkins, and then in 2 or 3 years' time, Sesko is killing it at Newcastle. We're sitting there going, I like Watkins, but that could have been us. We need to be, and this is why we ask for real football experts and not bankers and accountants to be running our football operation. These are the decisions that I want to see them get right. We know that by and large, City and Liverpool and all the biggest and best teams and best run clubs in the world typically get those decisions right more often than not. We've got them wrong too often in the last 11, 12, 13 years. This is where I want to start. This is when I'll start to see things where I go, we are definitely being run better by making those decisions. Equally, we bring him in and he does a Hoyland and goes the other way, then we know we're terrible at making these decisions still. And that's my fear in this, you know, and I was only throwing it in for food for thought. On food for thought, big report in Spain today, young Joe, that the price for Rodrygo might be getting slightly slashed as Real Madrid don't want him. What's your thoughts on that and the Eze situation? Do you think Arsenal are going to get both or just one of those two or neither of those two? How do you think that's going to go?
Well, there obviously there's going to have to be some sales, and you're looking at who those sales are going to be. So I saw reports today that Zinchenko probably isn't going to leave. Apparently, he's still part of Arteta's plans. I don't see why. I've seen that he also doesn't want to let Trossard go. But if you're going to buy Rodrygo, you have to let either one of Martinelli or Trossard go. Is that really opinion? You either have to let one of Trossard or Martinelli go, because to make space for a new left winger. And Rodrygo, I think me personally, I think we will only get Eze, because I don't think that we can raise the funds just from selling players to get both of them. I think we still need to raise the funds to get Eze by itself. We need to sell. We're going to have to go for Nelson. I don't know about Kivior. Is he still in Arteta's plans? For me personally, I think it's going to have to be. Sadly for me, I think Martinelli should go. Martinelli's he's had some brilliant times at the club, but personally for me, the last couple of seasons, I just don't think he's been good enough. Age isn't going to teach him to look up, and I think that everyone's saying that. I think Arteta, I think the way that he's been coached, he was never meant to be this systematic winger. And it's hard to bring him back to this fun-loving, skillful young Brazilian that everybody knew. And I think that it's going to be, I think it's going to be really impossible to bring him back to that. And I think we should cash in on him as soon as possible. I think personally, the maximum we're going to get for him is around, I think, a maximum 45 mil, genuinely 45 mil. And then I think we keep Trossard, because before we had a Gyökeres profile, I think he was one of the best finishers at Arsenal Football Club. He was one of the best at putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think he will still until he really starts to rot off in his age, he will still be good coming off the bench against some tired legs. He will never be good enough from this point on to start and bring us to that title. So I think that personally, I think Eze will, I expect Eze to happen, because I think he wants Arsenal. I think that we could you get a swap deal for him. Crystal Palace look flexible in the negotiations, and I expect Eze to happen. Rodrygo less so. I think that even if Real Madrid have lowered their asking price for Rodrygo, we can. And we could never sell both Martinelli Trossard, because then we'll have either Eze and Rodrygo. Neither of them will be happy to sit on the bench. So that's really where I stand on it. I think it will be Eze. I don't think it will be neither. I don't think it will be both.
There's a comment here from Callum from earlier that says, why do Arsenal have to win the league if they are not favourites? I don't think they're even ever had the second best squad in the league. What do you make of that, Kojo? Because there's a lot of talk. Again, there's Rodrygo and the Eze stuff going on at the minute, but there's a lot of this Arsenal must win the league talk from rivals and some gooners. Do you think that's fair? Do you understand where those people are coming from? Does that make them the favourites in your view? How do you assess that, Kojo?
I'll be honest with you. Obviously, I think the reason why people are always obviously hot on Arsenal is because of the fact that Arteta's had a project for quite a while, right? And the pressure's on Arteta even more because we haven't really seen many trophies come out of that particular project. Do I think Arsenal should be winning the league this year? I think they should be challenging. I think they wouldn't say they necessarily should be winning it this year. I think they should be challenging, and I mean a proper challenge where they take the person to the end. You know what I mean? I've seen that once, but I would say that's for me for Arsenal. I think they have a great team. I think if Eze comes in, I think that adds an air of flair. Get rid of Martinelli. He's not Arsenal level. I'm going to be honest with you. He's a bench player at best. He should be warming that bench, coming on, and tearing a defense. When they're tired legs. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say necessarily that they are favourites in that particular perspective. I think that Arsenal, the one thing that I think Arsenal still lack, it's me being a bit probably critical, is I still feel like they don't have no grit. I just don't feel that with Arsenal. Like it lacks a bit of grit. Like if you're gonna be tiki-taka, then make sure players are tiki-taka. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Then you're not working on grit. But then if you're going to try and be a bit of a hybrid, which I feel like sometimes Arsenal end up becoming a bit of a hybrid with their teams, it's like, then I need you to have someone who's got a bit of grit, who's gonna pull the team out, as by the scruff of the neck, as I would say. I need a player that's going to be a little bit dirty. Someone's going to get around, who's going to cause the team to like really be energized in that particular way. And I feel like they still haven't really got that from Arsenal yet. I haven't got that. I don't even see that even in the defenders. Not saying the defenders are not good, by the way. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a particular kind of mentality. I don't see it from them. And I think that's the one thing that's still missing. And that's why I said I like someone like Sesko for Arsenal, because he's a powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? He's got a little bit of that bullish kind of behavior about him. You need one or two of those kind of players, I think, for Arsenal right now. I don't really see that for them. So I think Eze will be an amazing signing, because on that left, that boy can dribble. He will remove players like there's no tomorrow. I just hope he can work on that end goal, because when you're at Crystal Palace, you can do the extra step overs. You can take an extra few shots. You are the star man of that team. You are not the star man of that team when you come to Arsenal. Saka is. By the way, Saka's an amazing player. I just have to put it out there again. I wouldn't mind having that at Chelsea. They could do that deal. Be fantastic. But he's an amazing player, right? So he's a star player of that team. So everyone runs through pretty much him. So I think if they just buy, I think if they buy one more person who could just have a bit more grit, someone who's a bit more nasty in there, then I'm saying that Arsenal challenge for that title. Definitely have to be. But right now,
no, I think they have to go back to that super chat. They have to, because yes, okay, you may not have the outright best squad in the league, but at what point do you get over the line? Like being second 3 years in a row has been, in terms of achievements, in terms of where Arsenal were, it's been good. It's been good that you've been challenging, you've been up there. But if it always is about, but we only have to win the league when we've got the best team in the league or the best squad, then that could be forever. So at what point do you actually just step up anyway and win the league? Because did Liverpool have the best squad in the league last year? I wouldn't say they had the best squad in the league and they were still won the league. So it's not just about having the best squad.
KJ, can I interject and ask you a question just for clarity for the viewers?
Yeah.
So when you say, I think what might confuse people is they have to. I suppose the more important element is they have to, or what? Like if someone has to do something, that when in life, when you say you have to do something, it's normally because there's a quite big or what if you don't do it. So for you, what's the or what that comes after that if they don't achieve it, bro?
Yeah. Sorry, the guys shut me. The or what is that? Sorry, all good. The or what for me is Arteta needs to be removed, and they just try someone else. Yes, and I think it is because at the end of the day, he has got them to that point, and that's good. Like, I'm not saying what Arteta has done is bad. I think he's done an excellent job to get them to that point. But now Arsenal in the position to be like, right, we need to get over the line. We as a football club have done this rebuilding, we've done this building, we've set ourselves up for this moment. Now it's the time to get over the line. And I think the squad is there. I think the squad building, they've pretty much done it now. The squad is now pretty much plug and play. If they don't win the league this year, I think it's fair to say that they should move on from Arteta and get someone who can actually do that for them. Because otherwise, again, give him a lifetime contract and just let him do what he's doing. And maybe hopefully eventually you get there. Like at some point we've got to say, let's do this now. Like it's our time to shine and rise, you know? That's people asking who, right? People asking who would be next. Someone who can take that squad and give something different, because they might be just used to what Arteta's doing. They might need that extra injection from the manager and bring something different. Arne Slot came in, brought something different to Liverpool, got them over the line, right? So if you can go out and try and get, I don't know, maybe see who wins the Bundesliga. Maybe go and get whoever wins the Bundesliga. Maybe a company. If he wins the Bundesliga again, maybe that's something different. I'm not saying that these are the best options, but you can't just always just be like, oh, because I believe there's no one else out there, we just have to keep it. No, sometimes you got to take the risk. Arsenal took the risk with Gyökeres this summer because I believe they needed to take a risk to get over the line. If that even isn't enough, then surely you have to go again, take another risk to go and get over the line. That's just me personally.
The reason why it needs to happen soon is because these players that Arsenal have, these fantastic players that Arsenal have, are not going to sit there and wait for year after year after year after year for it to eventually click. This is year 6 of Arteta, is it? Year 6 or year 7?
Yeah, he joined in November
2019.
So he's in his 6th year.
We're in year 6 of Arteta, and it gets on to another point. The idea that Arsenal fans or a certain section of Arsenal fans sit there and go, oh, I just want a trophy. If all they won this year was the Carabao Cup, they would not be happy. They wouldn't sit there at the end of the season and go, what a successful season that was. They go, why is that the only trophy we've won in 6 years? Why have we not won one of the big ones yet? And then they'd harp on to how Liverpool won one under Arne Slot, and in that time, such and such has won an FA Cup, and such has won a Champions League, and yada, yada, yada. So ultimately, Arsenal fans, these Arsenal fans who, especially the ones that project about standards, they need one of the big two to happen. They will not be happy otherwise.
What I've noticed, I don't know if Joe, if you've noticed this with like your fans that are split between sort of inners and outers on Arteta. What I've noticed is a lot of the outers are like, I'd take a Carabao Cup this year, where a lot of the guys that have been Arteta in are like, now if we don't win the league or a big one, then he's got to go. It's like they've almost swapped sides this summer. But I think that's because people are trying so hard to like maintain like their kind of persona. It's just because I don't believe any Arteta outer that says a Carabao Cup's enough. I believe they will absolutely, to the question I asked you guys earlier, that will not quench their thirst. I think they're saying that now because you don't win anything. But I don't know about you, when you listen to other Gooners speak, I don't personally think, Joe, that they're going to, that a Carabao Cup's enough for a certain percentage of Arsenal fans.
No. I think for me, definitely, a Carabao Cup's not enough. Carabao Cup wouldn't be enough because again, I so agree with what Tom's saying. No Arsenal fan. I think I might be wrong, but no Arsenal fan is going to sit here after another second place finish, another exit in the semis or the quarters of the Champions League, and another third round exit of the FA Cup, but a nice win in the Carabao Cup. No one's going to sit here and say that's a brilliant season, and that's what we spent close to 250 million on in the summer for. No one can sit here and say that. We're spending all this money so that we can win the Premier League. That's what I think, in my opinion, that's what must happen. We must win one of the big two. Otherwise, because it was always my opinion that Arteta should have had the tools to win these big trophies. And I can't remember. I heard it on here a couple of weeks ago, and I agreed with it. It is if Arteta doesn't win next year, it's the players that he's signed that's going to get him sacked. It's the caliber of players that he's got that should win him these. Because it's always been, we need this one player and then we've got it. It's always been Arteta saying to the board, to the Cronkies, it's just, please guys, trust me. It's just I need Gyökeres, please guys. And then once they've given him these players, they're going to say to him, win for us. And if he comes back with a Carabao Cup next season, if I were the owners, and I think what the owners will do, they'll say, that's not what we were expecting. We were expecting one of the big two. That's what the fans were expecting. Sorry, mate, your time's up. You've had 6 years to do what you want. I appreciate that you didn't have a great squad to begin with, but what you've got now is a squad that should be winning the Champions League. And at this point, that problem is you.
Yeah, let's look at it this way, Terry. If I'll use you as an example, as you're my employer. If you've hired me, if I've come in and you've asked me to get the second channel to get it to 50k subs, and actually, no, let's say 100k subs. Let's get to 100k subs. It's already there, by the way, people. Just let you know. I'll go follow the Football Terrace Extra.
128,000 to be precise.
Yeah, we're moving. But Terry's brought me in to bring the second channel up to 100k subs. I said to Terry, look, I need the best editing software. I need the best algorithms. I need the best clips, the best content for you guys, or what you're making. Give that to me, and then that's how I'm gonna get it there. If after 2-3 years Terry's giving me everything I need, and we're still not hitting 100k, Terry's not gonna be worrying about, but if I fire KJ, who am I going to get? He's gonna fire me because at the end of the day, I'm not delivering on the job I'm supposed to be doing. He will worry about who's going to succeed me afterwards. He will do his recruitment process. He will get a list. He'll go through it, interview people, see who's the most compatible to do the job that I was doing and do it better. He would do that afterwards. But in that moment of after waiting for years, after giving me what I need, Terry would not sit there and just be like, you know what? Yeah, let me just worry about what's going to happen next.
I mean, the biggest thing that damages the Arsenal fans who say that is Liverpool had a tougher job replacing Jurgen Klopp and brought in a guy who was on no one's real shortlist, and he came in and won the league. So the idea that these really stick to of we can't get rid of them because who's better on the market? There's guys out there who can be better if given the opportunity. guys out there with their own pedigree. You just got.
That's true.
That's why you've got to figure it out.
KJ don't know this, but I'll reveal it now. I have a list of people that I have ready to replace KJ with. That's updated all the time. It's not a joke. It's a joke. But no, look, there is truth. And look, I've said it for the last 2 years. As an outsider to Arsenal, I've been judging Arteta on what he's won. The last 2 years haven't been good enough. And I think his job should have been under question last year by the board, Arsenal's board. And they should be doing exactly the same thing this year. They should be looking at it. There shouldn't be it shouldn't be the never-ending story. There has to be a cut-off point where they say, we're going to go out and find a different coach who, and even if you win stuff in the next 2 or 3 years, there is also an argument to replace him. Because forget what Wenger did. I mean, Wenger's didn't end that great. Forget what Fergie did. It's even in the 70s and 80s where managers lasted a long time at clubs, what Fergie did was rare. 7, 8, 9, 10 years at a club in old-fashioned terms was long-term. So there comes a point where you could win the league this year, win the Champions League the year after, maybe the year after that you just pick up an FA Cup. Let's say you do that. There could still be a necessity to move him on, to potentially bring in a new voice, another top-class manager, a change is as good as a rest. There are multiple reasons as to why sometimes you have to look beyond the person that's currently coaching your team. And, you know, Pep said something very interesting in I think it was GQ magazine today. By the way, why is he looking like Alf Garnett, Nobbins? Like the man literally, have you seen what he looks like at the minute? He looks like Alf Garnett.
New look, new city, new system. Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
New look, new system. But he said himself that I think, I don't want to misquote him here, but he essentially alluded to the fact that after this deal with City, he's going to not retire, but take a step back and look after himself. And he mentally needs time out. And Klopp said the same thing. Like, mentally, I can't go on. I've lost it. There's also going to come a point, and it could come in the middle of winning, before you win or after you've won, where Arteta may get to a point where he needs to go just for himself. He might just get to a point where he's like, I need a rest from being a manager for a year or two, or I need a new dressing room or a new group. So I think this idea that he can never be replaced, it shouldn't be discussed. If your club are not discussing potential replacements ever, that's bad business. I know for a fact that Man City have a constant, ever-changing shortlist, if I'm not mistaken, Nobbins, of potential replacements for Pep. There's always going on. That isn't disrespectful. It's contingency planning, and all well-run businesses, all well-run. Listen, I have a contingency in my house. My kids know where to go if there's a fire. They know how to get out of the house if the fire's at the front of the house. They know how to get out of the house if it's the back of the house. I haven't taught one for the middle, though, and I probably should do something about that. But if you know my house, it's not a problem. There's contingencies. You have to have contingency plans. So that element has to be there 110%. Do a few super chats. Sorry, go on, Nobbins.
Can I just like on the Arsenal have to win, that sort of question.
Yeah,
they have to win soon, one of the big two, whatever, because far too much time and money has been invested for the only return on investment to be a community shield. They have to win because there are elite players at Arsenal, and Tom mentioned that, who will not be happy with finishing second, etc. But they also just have to win because it's been 21 years since Arsenal won the title, and that represents the greatest gap between league titles in Arsenal's history. So that's another reason why, because every single year a title isn't won, it's extending that bit of bad history for Arsenal. They're a club who, from their first league title to whenever, there's never been that much of a gap between. Like they've always like won a title like every decade or every other decade or whatever. So bad history is being made here, and that might damage Arsenal in the longer term as well. So that's fundamentally why they need to.
Yeah,
they're not firing that man. They are not going to fire that man. You know why? Because you see what happened to Man United? You don't want to be that same team. Okay? All right? I'll no offense to Man United, sorry, but you see where you are now? We don't want that for Arsenal. Arsenal don't want that for themselves. So long as he can keep coming second and third, they're going to keep him in. Because he's always within a chance of winning, whether we agree this or not. You know what I'm saying to you, right? I don't particularly like the way that Chelsea hire and fire. I don't like it. I know it gets results, but I don't particularly like it, right? But I don't think Arsenal are going to start now sending him and trying to get a new manager in, unless you're going to get someone, unless you know someone definitely is so much better than him that they're going to be able to get into that particular place. They're not going to get rid of him because he's coming second. It's not like he's even coming third. The last 3 seasons he's come second, and before that he came third. And so it's like you're almost at the cusp. And that's why I said I think it's a mentality thing as well. I think as well, and I think you just need one. I really do think that you guys need a gritty player. I don't see any of those players in there that are gritty to me.
Yeah, but, and I get the player can give that, but why is it now the player's job to instill that grittiness into the squad when the guy's been there for 5 years, 6 years? Surely that's something that should be able to instill enough. And a quick one to your point about the Fergie thing, that was put on us. We didn't want Fergie to go. He said he's going. You know what I mean? So we couldn't help that. But the problem was with what Man United did is we didn't plan correctly. We had a poor contingency because we thought Fergie was going to live forever and manage us forever. We then failed when it comes to him leaving. So this is what I'm saying. Arsenal, okay, cool. Don't sack him this season for whatever reason. But they need to be looking at how they success this guy. Because again, if he, like Terry said, if he decides to step away because he's had too long and it's too much and he's a break, what then? So it may not even be Arsenal sacking him. It might be him walking away. What do Arsenal do then? They can't be scrambling around with all the investment they've put in, with all the time they put in to building the squad. They can't be scrambling around for a new manager because they just thought, oh, it's going to be fine because Arteta's going to be here until we win. That's not. We don't even know.
You're in the same position though. You're in the same position because you still have to go and get a manager. The reality of the situation is, as long as he comes second or third, right, he's within a chance of winning. That's just that simple. So it's like I get what you're saying about, for instance, the Man United situation. We understand that your situation is slightly different, right? But the reality of the situation is, once you remove someone from the helm who's created stability, right? Stability to a point where he's not even like he's coming fifth or sixth. He's coming second, right? So at that point, you just need to back that person. You need to back that horse. Well, and I get it that it's been 20 years. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
I think on top of that, Kojo, as well, this is the other side of the argument, which I think is away from, and there's some gooners that think, well, the owners don't have the ambition, therefore they won't sack him as long as he's in the Champions League. That's fair, but I view that means you need to stop talking about Arteta then, and your attention needs to go to your owners, because you can't take it out on the man who's not being sacked. If the reason they're not sacking him is because he's actually achieving your club's targets, you've got to focus on the people setting the targets. So a different conversation, but I hear where you're coming from.
I also think, though, with the Arteta point that you made there, he's got his players now. So, like, I get it at the very start, but this is now, the third season in a row where they finished second. Don't have the exact numbers, but it was 200 million one summer, 200 million another summer, another one. That's 500 million pounds around about since they first came second to now get no improvement. In a cynical way, they got to second. They spent however much they got to second, then they went, well, back him to make that next step. They spent 500 million quid since then, and they have not improved from that position. At some point, you have to start asking, how long do we continue to back this? How long until we decide, no, this £200 million might be better off in the hands of someone else, someone who hasn't had 3 goals and not managed to get over that hump yet? That's the mindset that I'm thinking of with it, where he's done well to get them to this point. He's done the building phase, but when you're building a house, you don't get the bricklayer to put in the windows. You don't get the bricklayer to furnish the house. Sometimes you have to get specialists in to do the job. If Arteta's very good at building the house up, you might just need someone to come in and put the finishing touches on, because they can't justify another 3 years where they give him 100 million plus every year for no improvements.
Also, just to say, I'm not Arteta out. If Arteta, because I don't want to be right. I want Arsenal to win. If Arsenal win stuff next year, I'm not gonna be crying and saying that I'm just not going to start crying about it. But so if Arteta doesn't win us anything next year again, how much further do we need to look? This guy has brought us as far as we can go. Maybe it's a little bit of maybe it's a bad analogy, but maybe think about Gareth Southgate in England. He brought England as far as they could go. He brought them to finals, and that's as far as England could go, and maybe this is as far as Arsenal can go. And if he has the right tools now, and he still doesn't win anything, that's as far as he can take us. And I'm sorry, we need to give this money to somebody else who will win it for us.
I get what you're saying there. AJ here says, KJ, the analogy only works if Arsenal's owners target to bring in a trophy, but no, they're happy with top four, as Kojo's kind of alluded to as well. AMT says, even the late greats, Kevin Campbell said, let Arteta have his players, then judge. He certainly got them now, especially when Eze comes through the door. That is to be fair. Stringer Bell talking Bear Macca. How are you saying man like Gabby M has no grit? Tell me you don't watch Arsenal without telling me.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying that they have no grit at all. What I was saying is I feel that they still lack that kind of that intensity of grit. I still don't necessarily see that from them. You know, Gabby's all right, but, you know, still we need some, you know.
Callum here says, you guys are disingenuous, man. It's unbelievable. I don't think no one's being disingenuous. I think people are telling you what they really think. You may disagree with them, but disagreeing with somebody doesn't equal being disingenuous. I don't mind the expectations to win the Prem, but I struggle when people say we are not a good team and then say we must both rivals and Arsenal fans. The reality is multiple teams must win. Yeah, I do agree with you that there is a bit of a. If you're an Arsenal fan, you go, I think we'll scrape fifth. Why? Squad ain't good enough. This ain't good enough. Manager ain't bad, but he must win it. That's what I find. I kind of get the must thing after the investment and everything else, but I'm. And the boys said in the group chat yesterday, like, Terry, our opinion's irrelevant. That's what Staffy and Lawless said. Because look here, they put a tweet in where Saliba said they're going to try and win it all this year. And I'm like, okay, so because Saliba says they're going to try and win it all, your opinion on what they actually will do is now obsolete. It's like, that's where I get confused, because we've had a really good grown-up conversation. I think that's what needs to take place in football content. The ownership has defined that being financially stable is the priority, which means they will never take the risk to build the best squad. Then it's like keep changing managers, hoping for a miracle.
But to say that Arsenal haven't taken risks is, I think, a little bit disingenuous, because didn't they spend 105 million quid on Declan Rice?
Quite a lot of efforts.
Right, I remember Ben White at the time, 50 million was like everyone said it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone said it was insane. And Gyökeres, again, people saying he's too old. The Portuguese league, he won't get the numbers. They've taken the risk. So Arsenal
they haven't taken a risk like us this summer, spending 400+ million in one go. But the Arsenal board across 3-4 years have taken a number of risks with players coming in.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money, to be fair. Z here says, of course, I'd love to win trophies, but I want and expect to see is the team competing and show the world we are amongst the elite. Listen, I agree with that. And I know that people, the ultimate goal is to win trophies. But I think that if you are only ever going to get enjoyment from football, if you're consistently winning all the big trophies, and it has to be every year, I do think you're going to spend, you only have to go through the history of football, 140 odd years. And the most league titles any team's got is 20, which basically means if you were alive for 140 years, you'd only have been happy 20 of them from a footballing standpoint. That, when you start to look at it and take it to its nth degree, it's a ridiculous way to view it, because it's just crazy. You know, you're better off being a movie buff. You could probably watch a good movie every week that you really love and enjoy. You're better off finding something where you're more likely to get that hit that you like, right? Because you're not going to get it in football. Even in Spain, how long has La Liga been around for? 100+ years? And what, the most league title wins around 35, 40? That still means more than half the time you're not happy. And if it makes you grumpy and aggressive and nasty, is it the right sport? I don't know. But to those questions earlier, and I am going to start with Kojo on this, because you spoke about Chelsea. What is it that will quench your thirst next season? And when I say that, I'll be very specific with it again. Like, it's where you'll be happy going into the summer and excited about the start of the next season. So it really makes you happy. Quenches that first. What will it be for Chelsea?
Oh, man, it's going to be interesting for me. Okay, if I'm really honest, what's going to make me happy? I'm a progression kind of person, so I want to see it over time. I'm happy with a top 4. Okay, I'm happy with a top 4, and I'm happy with an FA Cup at the end of the season. I promise you I'll be happy. I'm happy with that particular aspect. Now, what's really going to quench my thirst? I'm backing Chelsea. As a Chelsea fan supporter, I'm backing them to win the league, to do an outstanding job and to win the league. Quote me on it so I can get banter later on. I am quoting for Chelsea to win the league and do something spectacular. I don't expect them to win it the second time round, but I expect them to win it this time round. I'm feeling something in my spirit. I could be crazy.
Hey. Remember that. I remember that. I know
KJ's getting that timestamp ready, going out on the Clips channel.
Yeah.
Chelsea
At
winning the
the
league.
end of the day, I'd expect nothing less from the champions of the world. They should be able to
Champions of the
block
world.
The way
the
he
teams
said
in
that,
England.
I know he was up at 7 a.m. doing some fire prayers, bro. The way he said that, yeah, I know.
Imagine the dancing in the gym if Chelsea do it. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a madness. Nobbins, how about you? What quenches your thirst this season?
Winning the Premier League title, I'd say yes. So many City fans online have said that we're not going to win and it's already over. All the correct positive talk about Liverpool would make me really happy if we were able to beat that side. And I don't see why City can't do it. I know lots of people are writing City off, but I think that the midfield jump that we'll see from last season, where we had like one of the worst off ball, to I think we might have like one of the best, if not the best in the world next season with Rodri and Reinders, for example. I'm hopeful that the jump is going to be pretty ridiculous. I think we can do it, and what would quench my thirst would be proving all the negative people wrong.
Joe?
What will quench my thirst next season? I think really for me, a Premier League or Champions League. It's as simple as that. Now that would quench my thirst, because I think anything less than that, and that's not what we've built ourselves up for this summer. So
That's fair. KJ?
I love how everyone's talking about leagues and trophies, bro. I'm here finishing 10th. 10th? All right, listen. Top table, 10th. Scoring more goals than we concede. So a positive goal difference. Winning 2 games in a row in the Premier League would be absolutely amazing. Yes, that is what.
Maybe you can finish above Fulham this season. That would be like a real sign of progression.
Yeah, we would be great. As long as we're making progress on the pitch, we're playing better, more wins than losses, more goals than goals conceded, 2 wins on the bounce in the league, finishing 10th. Listen, breaking 50 points. Oh my Lord. I'm happy, man.
Tom?
It's got to be one of the big two. We got the pressure on us now, spending a lot of money, pressure on us. I hope that we thrive off the pressure. You've got to be. I personally want us to retain. If you were to ask me one or the other, I want us to get 21 and to retain a title. Because I think that retaining a title is a very tough thing to do. It's why it's not done very often, and it would be. It'd be a really good thing that we can get over the line and retain it. I'm not opposed. I still, in that case, would expect a really good Champions League run as well. Maybe not win it, but I'd expect a deep run in that. So it's to quench my thirst. It's to retain the title, but it's got to be at a minimum one of the big two. You've got to win the Premier League or the Champions League.
Wait, Tom. Especially if you get Isak, surely to quench your thirst, it has to be a double. You have to win multiple trophies in a season, surely.
After 21, yeah. I just want 21 so I can hold it over your head, over your club's head. So we got one more than you. That's enough for now. That'd be enough for now, just to get that honour as the most successful domestic club in England back. That's all. That's what I want immediately. If there wasn't that sort of bragging rights on the line, it has to be multiple. We'd have to be talking about doing a double or a treble, because we've got the squad for it.
See, what KJ said for me about Man United, that's more of where I expect. So that's sort of, I wouldn't say that would quench my thirst. I want us to be back well in the top half. I want us to be able to win 2 or 3 or 4 games on the bounce. We didn't manage more than 1 last year. Positive goal difference. I sort of expect that. But I would still, if we only narrowly did that, finish 10th, I don't think I'd go into the summer feeling really satisfied. I certainly wouldn't be going into the summer feeling relaxed about the next season. For me, what would quench my thirst, where I could see the genuine progression would be finishing in a Champions League position. Where, and again, this isn't me saying that will happen, but then I could end the season and go, do you know what? There's been massive improvement. Another decent summer, and who knows what's possible for us as a team. So I think there are levels that we could get to coming 8th, winning a trophy, progressing, where I'd feel satisfied, but I don't know if it would quench my thirst and render me in a very happy state all summer. So I have to be really clear about that. And there's no right or wrong. Everyone's got a different view on this. But for me, I feel like I think Man United are going to have a season where I can see progression and I can see us getting better and I'll be happy enough. But I don't know if I'm going to be like, that was a really good season and I'm so excited about next year. I still think there's going to be a bit of how far are we from behind? How far behind are we from people and stuff like that? So mine's a little higher than KJ's, but I totally get where KJ's coming from. And I think, look, everyone will view it differently, but we want to ask you.
I went into that question with the bare minimum in my head instead of the actual like hopes and dreams.
And mine. I don't even think mine's achievable, but that's because I don't think Man United this season can quench my thirst. If that makes sense, I don't think I can feel like that this year. But you notice how, depending on what team you support, it's all different. Because again, there's a little bit of a point being proven here. Football clubs aren't a monolith. And I think of a Man United fan, and by the way, some Man United fans might go, I'm only going to have my first quench when we're literally winning the Premier League again. That's fine. Like, that's cool. If you're never going to be happy, you're never going to feel comfortable until that happens. And you're entitled to that because everyone views things differently. Me, it's more about when I see us truly on our way to being able to do that, that's when I think I'll feel happy, because a big part of football is about the journey and how you get there. And I think football fans should enjoy that trip, because I'm sure you did, Nobbins, when you got taken over. You've enjoyed every step of your way to winning that treble. It was like you were picking up trophies along the way, but when you reached the pinnacle, you'd have probably looked back and gone, look at that last decade, man. Look at that last decade. Look at everything we went through. I want to kind of enjoy that. I don't want to be someone, especially if I really think we're moving in the right direction, I don't want to be angry every step of the way until we achieve it. That could be a horrible 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years. I don't want to feel like that. That's just me, though, and we're all different. This here, Højlund might be the best option for Newcastle. Listen, man, 50 mil is yours. Top 6, KJ. We got 1 game a week. I hope so. Well, I hope we get it.
If that.
I like how that came across. It's like, I can't handle United 2 games a week. I hope it's just 1 game a week for the entire season.
Yeah.
I can't put myself through 2 games of that in a week.
This here says the budget for this window was defined as 100 million, over which Arteta has fought for the current spending and now sells for further spending, which is fair. Change one moment from your club's history. Mine is Barca versus Arsenal Champions League final. Lehmann not getting sent off. We win 11v11 and have a Champions League maybe.
Ed Woodward being hired as CEO of our football club.
Not even something on the pitch.
Something on the pitch, yeah. Football moment.
On the pitch. Europa League final. We will actually beat Spurs this time. You know what I mean?
What are you saying, Tom? It's got to be Gerrard slipping, isn't it?
See, most people would say that, and I'm not opposed to that one. For me, just because of how mad it would be, I'd change that game against City where we lost 2-1 in 18-19 so that we win that, because then we go invincible Centurions for your first Premier League title to go alongside the Champions League winner in the same season. It's one of the greatest individual seasons ever.
That's true. But what would you, so let me ask you this, a Liverpool fan. Would you rather the invincible Centurions or Gerrard actually getting a Premier League winners medal?
I'd rather Gerrard have the medal. But just for the stature of what that would be, that'd be a mad thing to look at.
What about yourself, Joe? What would be that one moment in Arsenal's on-field history you'd change?
I mean, I'm a relatively recent fan. I don't have anyone around me that likes football. I was never brought up that way. So,
your family rugby?
No, my family are no sports.
Polo?
No sports.
No sports.
Wow.
Sports. It was actually the Euro in 2020 that got me into it. So.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And I didn't. I swear I didn't just get into Arsenal because I saw them winning. I started supporting them in 20.
They weren't winning.
Don't worry.
That's
Don't
the
worry.
thing.
They weren't winning.
You haven't
They weren't
had
winning.
haven't
Don't
had
worry.
any winning.
We don't
You
think
haven't
that.
had any winning in this time.
I think you must
It wasn't gonna work.
and that's about it. But yeah, you weren't winning nothing. And you know what? I'm glad you admit that because you'd be easy to come on here and act like you've been Arsenal fan since you were a child. But you say this is what I'm glad. Thank you. For the honesty.
So what moment in the last 5 years did you change them?
Last 5 years.
You haven't got one, man.
Maybe Trossard Trossard not getting his shot against Aston Villa, saved by Emi Martinez in 23-24 season. Remember we lost 2-0 at home? That freaking ended for us. If Trossard scored that probably dampens that game, and we probably, regardless if we draw that game, as long as we didn't lose that game, we would have won the league on goal difference if we drew it.
You got another one. You got two. You got Son scoring against Spurs.
Son scoring against Spurs, exactly. Yeah.
And Saka scoring the pen against West Ham.
Yeah, I actually think who wound Trent up. Who round the Anfield crowd up when you were 2-0 up against them? Who done that? Was that Xhaka?
It was Xhaka. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, if I was going to change something for Arsenal, it would be here. If you'd have kept the crowd quiet, I think you win that game and go on to win the league.
Or Zinchenko getting nutmegged.
Yeah. Kojo, what's yours? What's your moment you'd change to change Chelsea's history?
Man, there's two, but you know what? The first one, let me just say it, is the Man United Chelsea final Champions League. That slip by John Terry still haunts me to this day. I won't tell you, that slip haunts me to this day. And I think for me, it would be to replace the referee when we played Barcelona and we lost with that final goal by Iniesta. So for me, that would be probably those two moments.
Yeah, I would go with that for you guys, because I think if we play you in the final, I think United go back to back. I think we go back to back if that happen. Nobbins, what would yours be? It must be one of your relegation years, right?
Well, I was thinking like, one of the Champions League exits, but as a City fan's experienced all that, that sort of added to the experience of when it all peaked in Istanbul. So I'm doing a bit of a hipster shout, and I'm going to say Colin Bell's injury in 1976, because he's regarded as our best player, and we should have won a few more titles in the 70s. We only finished 1 point behind Liverpool in 77 or 78, and with our best player injured. So I'd go for that. Ended his career too soon, so I'd go for him.
Obviously, mine's off the pitch. I just want to pay homage to this because it would definitely be the Munich air disaster not happening. Of course, for the loss of life, right? I mean, that's first and foremost. But I don't think people realize that Man United team would have very likely done, if you just go back and read about them, and don't read what was written after their sad passing, read about what people were saying in the 2 or 3 years up to that point. That team probably would have won 2 or 3 Champions Leagues, and Man United would have got a good European pedigree, but we lost a great team that would have won league titles, and we'd have more than 20 league titles right now. We'd have more FA Cups, we'd have more Champions Leagues. They weren't just a good team, they were just the best, and they were still babies in that regard. So that, of course, is there. On the field, there's a lot, but I go back to a certain game against Porto. Paul Scholes had a rightful goal disallowed. We would have knocked out Porto. Jose's famous knee slide wouldn't have happened. And you'd actually look at the Champions League after that point. I think Man United go on to win it then as well. And again, it's just, Fergie had a great legacy. Greatest manager of all time, in my personal opinion. But I think he picks up another Champions League. That would have been his 3rd Champions League in totality. And it was just, I remember that feeling after that game, the anger. The anger took about 4 days to go away. Again, different era where you were allowed to be angry at your team not winning because of a decision without people saying, take accountability. You just back then you were just allowed to be angry when you got ripped off like that by a referee. So yeah, that would be a
I thought you would have went with the Real Madrid game in his last season.
Well,
you got about the Nani.
That's right up there. Nani should never have been sent off. Again, we were so much better. That being said, I still think Bayern Munich would have still gone on to won it that year. I think Bayern Munich. I think it was Bayern Munich Dortmund final that year. They were so good. I don't know if we would have beaten them. However, back in the Porto year, you look at who they then had to knock out. I think we were better than those sides. I think we would have won the Champions League that year. And that one really. There's quite a few that I remember. Drogba being offside to stop us doing a 4-peat. There's an offside goal that VAR would have led to us doing a 4-peat if it existed. There's a few near misses for United, but Yeah, that's a great
You
super
mentioned the
chat.
Aguero goal. Yeah, obviously would love that not to have happened, even though I do think that was match fixing from QPR, but that is a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
One recent one though, which is low key, which is actually I think the catalyst to everything that's happened in the last like 18 months for Man United to 2 years. Garnacho's goal against Arsenal being called offside. If we had scored that goal and won that game, I think our season might have turned out differently. Our players' confidence in the manager might have been different, and I think we could have seen a different Man United from that point.
Yeah, that's a great shout. And there's loads of those little moments. You say certain results can change things. This is I thought Man United fans would say losing the EPL because I didn't realize you're reading that. Yeah, look, there is that, but I was thinking more about moments that happened when we were on the pitch rather than other teams, because equally that the referee that Kojo mentioned for Chelsea and Barcelona, if I could go back in time now, I'd much rather face that Chelsea team who we were in 2008. Chelsea and Man United were neck and neck. 2009, I still think we were actually a better team than Chelsea at that point. We'd gone further ahead of them, but Barca had gone to a level that nobody expected. And yeah, I'd love to change that because that could have been back-to-back Champions League. So yeah, there's I think we will have those moments. But I do agree with Nobbins. Like in reality, like the way we lost that Aguero goal, winning it the next year, those Manchester derbies the next year, especially the one where we score the free kick at the end. This is what I mean by journey. Those games were more special because of the Aguero goal. There was an added fight to them. The noisy neighbours had won the league. We went and got Van Persie from Arsenal. It was and we actually in the next year smashed that league. But I just remember I was a season ticket holder at the time, and there was something about it. There was a bit. This is what I mean by every time you don't win something, wanting managers sacked rather than going, come on, guys, just go again. Every Man United fan I knew, match goer, non-match goer, we had the bit between our teeth, and it was like, let's fucking go and win it. As opposed to, right, we're going to rip the whole thing down and start again. I want to get back to that era of football, man. That was just, I wanted my club to get back to that point. Just joined, I want to share my thoughts. Zubimendi, Rice, DM, Rodrygo, Trossard, left wing, Rice, Eze, CM, Gyökeres, Havertz, strikers, Martinez, Waneri, CM, Saka, Madueke, Dalman, right wing. It's decent. Dude, especially fucking Dalman. Dalman's mad special. That's a great one here. Eduardo's leg break changed the entire season for Arsenal. Would have won the league that year.
What was your hot take on Dalman? Sorry.
My hot take on Dalman is now going to be...
Wait.
What?
Wrong channel. The other channel.
I'm going to do it on the other channel. Yeah. It's a big take, and I guarantee you they do it. But we'll do it. We'll speak about that on that will either drop tonight or tomorrow. Stinger. I'm not letting this go. Maggie M is all right. He's better than any Chelsea defender. Gabby M, not Maggie. Why did I say Maggie? Gabby M, sorry.
It was not about him being better. It was about him having grit. So it's not about necessarily being better. It's about the grit. You know what I'm saying to you? And maybe I'm being a bit biased because I grew up on seeing the Martin Keowns and the Tony Adams. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm seeing people that can put an elbow in when they need to, a little foot on the back of the rake of the leg. You know what I mean? Like someone's got a bit more grit. I'm not necessarily seeing that. I don't see Gabby doing that. I don't see Saliba doing that per se. They're great defenders. I'm not saying they're not. So yeah.
I hear you there. For me, it's the Champions League because we never won it. That's from an Arsenal fan. Eze and a top left winger. Arsenal's target, Champions League +1. They could do it. They could do it with those signings. Are you talking about risk on players? I'm talking about taking the risk to build the best squad at the beginning of which season have Arsenal been favourites with the best squad with all the issues addressed? One big window.
But so my point to that would be there's been one team in this period of time that has won titles, and it's outside of Man City, it's Liverpool. Both times Liverpool won the Premier League, they went into the season not having the best squad.
Yeah.
Last season, we didn't even have the second best squad. Yola had the second best squad, and we weren't supposed to be anywhere near it. So it's not about having this. Managers, the best managers, can win when not in the most perfect, idealistic conditions. That's the be-all, end-all. Mikel Arteta doesn't have the best squad in the Premier League, but he's got one of them. He's got a squad that should be able to capitalise and win a league title, and he hasn't done that. That's why I sit there and question it.
Outside of Man City, I don't think in recent times any of the winners of the Premier League have had quote unquote the best squad going into it. Chelsea didn't have the best squad when Conte won it. Leicester definitely didn't have the best squad when they won it. Liverpool didn't have the best squad. That was close. That was close, but they weren't outright the best squad when they won it with Klopp. So it is possible. It's not. And if people are saying, because people are saying we have not got the best squad but still expect us to win things, I get it. If people are saying Arsenal crap but you must win the league, I get it. It's annoying. It don't make no sense because it's just oxymoronic, right? But we're saying, all of us in this panel here are saying you are good enough to win the league. You may be not number one in squad, but you're definitely 2 or 3, and you're good enough to win the league. So go win the league.
I hear that. Disingenuous is accurate, as some people who are willingly obtuse, invested in their narrative to point to the point they try not to understand alternative perspectives. But I wouldn't say anyone on my panel tonight has done that. I think everyone on the panel has explained themselves thoroughly. Personally, I believe that. An English club will win the Champions League next season, except Arsenal, Spurs, and Newcastle. Who has now the best midfield, attack, and defense in the top 6? Defense, I'm still sticking with Arsenal for now. Tried and tested. Midfield,
I think City will have the best
say
midfield.
Chelsea.
You think Chelsea? Chelsea are a shout this season. I was going to say City as well, to be fair. I think with Rodrygo back. Attack.
If we get Isak,
Liverpool, surely.
If they get Isak,
it could be us even without Isak, to be fair.
yeah.
Yeah, got to be Isak, even with the depth in their attack.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, so probably, yeah. I mean, yeah, Arsenal with 1, City with 1, Liverpool with 1. It's going to be a great title race. It really is. Look, I want to thank every single person that's tuned in. This is going to redirect you to Footy Judge Mode's channel. So a big thank you to everyone that's been here today. Kojo, Joe, Tom, Nobbins, and KJ. Thank you. Oh, another super chat just came in. Sorry, I missed this. He says, I don't disagree with Arteta not delivering. Multiple super chats have broken the flow. My point is that since the owners will never build the best squad, so it's more like change the manager and hope. Now, I do agree. If you're an Arsenal fan that thinks your owners are never going to do enough for any manager to genuinely win the league, then to Kojo's point, they're not going to sack him, and maybe you shouldn't ask him to be. If your ambition is only to be top 4 stable, you're achieving it, and you're there, taking him out and trying something else. If they're not going to give that manager what they want, they might go backwards. So if that's your train of thought, I do get it. That holds water as an opinion. It does. So grit equals dirty play. VAR won't allow that now.
I mean,
We've got loads more super chats coming through. Subs here says, fun fact, in the last 5 years, Chelsea have won 5 trophies compared to Arsenal's 1. Chelsea's net spend 800 million. Arsenal's is 600 million. Live, remember 2020 Liverpool team, best team in history by their fans.
Liverpool fans will say that their team was one of the best teams. Who'd have thought?
I hear that. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.